She's gone max, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh. Candace tonight was phenomenal. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. She was great. This is the first ever hat that we did. And it's still there. It's still there. Guys, that was amazing. Holy mackerel. What a tough act to follow. But follow we will. This is, I can't remember the name of this. We've looked it up before. Some kind of electric blue or whatever. Guys, welcome in. We have a lot to talk about. Holy mackerel. We have a lot to talk about. Couple things. One, the opening tonight, you guys, I don't know if I think I've explained this. We're developing an arc, the way we see the world. Sometimes I anticipate some things that are going to be coming up in the world, or some conversations that need to take place based on news that has happened. You'll see that tonight. There is a tie to the Charlie Kirk investigation, the way we think about Charlie Kirk, the way we think about Charlie Kirk having been an influence on foreign policy with the Donald Trump administration. So we will we'll do the opening statement, and then I've got a host of news to get through, including like multiple improprieties. In my opinion, multiple improprieties that I think are taking place in the Phoenix, Arizona headquarters of TPUSA. So I'm not going to accuse them of illegal conduct like our good friend at Wolves and Finance did. I'm going to blanket the whole show with a healthy dose of words like allegedly, in my opinion. But we're going to get down and dirty, and we're going to get to brass tacks, and we're going to say some things that are going to probably hurt some feelings and step on some toes. I hope everyone is ready for that type of a program, because after what I just watched over on Candace's channel, holy mackerel, it got max, as they say. All right, I don't want to delay any longer, because we got a lot today, and I don't want to be super long in the content portion of the program tonight. I want to be able to keep it tidy. Last night we were able to keep the program under 3 hours. I did have to trim 14 and a half minutes or almost 15 minutes of technical difficulties out of the way, but you know what? We were able to fix them. I tore everything apart, put everything back together, tested, retested, tested again. I kept getting scared that my tests were going out live over Facebook, but then nobody joined in. So, all right, here we go, guys. This has this is an interesting one. This is based on a book I read, and I referenced the book in it. So, but it's draws a little bit of a book I read, draws a little bit of my own personal thoughts on the matter. So here we go. Here is your opening statement. Every president has had his own foreign policy, but only a few presidents have had their foreign policy essentially classified as its own brand. Woodrow Wilson emphasized spreading democracy and international institutions. It's called Wilsonian. Alexander Hamilton focused on trade and integrating American goods into global commerce. It's called Hamiltonian. Thomas Jefferson looked inward, focusing almost exclusively on America and America alone, to the exclusion of global issues that arose during his presidency. Jefferson was deeply suspicious of the use of American military might around the world. It's called Jeffersonian. And then there's Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson is one of my very favorite presidents, partially because of his foreign policy and his foreign diplomacy. He developed a thorough foreign policy that prioritized national sovereignty, military strength, and a don't tread on me ethos. It's this Jacksonian diplomacy that often is my starting point for viewing foreign conflicts and entanglements as they arise. Andrew Jackson viewed the world as a dangerous place where the United States must defend its interests aggressively, often and preferably unilaterally, while remaining suspicious of foreign alliances and elitist globalism. Walter Russell Mead, despite holding what I view as some deeply troubling and problematic foreign policy positions, actually wrote a pretty good book on American foreign policy. It's titled Special Providence, American Foreign Policy and How It Changed the World. It was released in 2001, and it outlines the cultural and political traditions of America's folk nationalism. Particularly, he writes from the perspective of the working class and rural populations. In other words, how do real Americans view America and America's role in the world? At its core, Jacksonian diplomacy is defined by a few key principles. First, it emphasizes honor and retaliation. Threats to American security or prestige must be met with overwhelming force to deter future aggression. Jacksonians believe in peace through strength. The idea is that a robust and ready military actually prevents conflicts just by its mere existence. Second, it is populist and anti-elitist in nature. It distrusts international organizations, cosmopolitan elites. It distrusts complex diplomatic entanglements that weaken our national sovereignty. Instead, Jacksonians believe foreign policy should serve the common man by focusing on tangible benefits like economic protectionism and border security. Third, it is nationalist and expansionist when necessary. Jackson justified territorial and resource gains as manifest destiny or as self-defense. But Jacksonian diplomacy avoids idealistic wars. Finally, Jacksonians prefer unilateral action over multilateral consensus. It views alliances as conditional and burdensome unless they directly advance American interests. Jacksonians blend this realism with a strong sense of populism. They're realistic about power dynamics, but they infuse them with a folk hero sense of honor and community defense. Jacksonians are slow to focus on a particular foreign policy issue, but once engaged, they pursue it vigorously and for the long term. This makes Jacksonian diplomacy reactive but resolute, often manifesting in decisive military actions or economic coercion and not prolonged nation building. The origins can be traced back to Andrew Jackson himself. His presidency embodied the rise of the populist democracy in the early 19th century. Jackson was a war hero from the Battle of New Orleans. He championed the common man against entrenched elites. He pursued aggressive foreign policy powers in America. His foreign policy was marked by a forceful diplomacy and keen expansionism. For example, in 1835, Jackson demanded reparations from France for the damages during the Napoleonic Wars. And he threatened reprisals and mobilizing the Navy against France if they didn't comply. This is a prime example of Jacksonian diplomacy. Any perceived slight demanded swift retribution backed by the very real possibility of military intervention to enforce it. His approach also fueled territorial expansion. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forcefully relocated Native Americans westward. Jackson justified this as necessary for American security and settlement. Before he was even president, General Andrew Jackson invaded Spanish Florida in 1818 and by himself pressured Spain to cede the territory. These actions were not driven as much by ideology as pragmatic nationalism. Jackson was expanding American borders to protect. Oh gosh, I've lost my place. To protect American citizens and American resources. Throughout American history, Jacksonian diplomacy has resurfaced during times of perceived threat or populist resurgence. At the end of the 19th century, the Spanish-American War echoed these themes with public outrage over the USS Maine. The result was a swift, honor-driven conflict that expanded U.S. territory in Cuba, Puerto Rico, and in the Philippines. President Theodore Roosevelt adopted a very Jacksonian theory of diplomacy. He called it the big stick. Speak softly, but carry a big stick, and ideally a very formidable military. In the 20th century, Jacksonianism influenced responses to multiple major threats during World War II. The Pearl Harbor attack mobilized Jacksonian fury, leading to unconditional surrender demands against Japan and Germany. President Ronald Reagan's foreign policy blended Jacksonian elements with a little Wilsonian rhetoric. His massive military buildup and confrontational stance against the Soviet Union that he called the evil empire, it emphasized strength and honor, and it avoided overcommitment in places like Lebanon. George W. Bush's post-9/11 policies, particularly the invasion of Iraq, initially drew on Jacksonian retaliation, but it devolved into a Wilsonian nation-building enterprise. And it alienated many of us Jacksonian supporters who preferred quick, decisive strikes. More recently, Jacksonian diplomacy has been linked to various populist movements. The Monroe Doctrine asserted U.S. dominance in the Western Hemisphere. It has Jacksonian undertones of unilateral protectionism. In the Cold War era, figures like Joseph McCarthy tapped into this Jacksonian suspicion of foreign influences. Because overall, Jacksonian diplomacy thrives when Americans feel their way of life is threatened by outsiders. It prioritizes defense of the homeland over global reform. And while I've certainly not agreed with every foreign policy move Donald Trump has made during his second term, and that is an understatement, it's hard to argue he is strongly influenced by what is at least his interpretation of Jacksonian diplomacy. His actions, ranging from military intervention in the Western Hemisphere to coercive diplomacy with allies and adversaries, embody Jacksonian populism. At least in theory, he is prioritizing American interests over multilateralism. And perhaps, most importantly, to Jacksonian diplomacy, Trump views global engagement as a zero-sum game. Trump's approach is quintessentially Jacksonian in its emphasis on honor and retaliation. Think about the operation to capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Don't consider it from the perspective of whether you agreed it should have been done. Consider it whether he framed it in Jacksonian terms. He framed it as a retribution for drug trafficking and a grab for oil reserves. These echo Jackson's invasion of Spanish Florida. In other theaters, Trump authorized bombings in Yemen, Syria, and Somalia, but they targeted militants and prioritized swift deterrence, not nation building. This, at least as Trump has framed the engagements to date, has been essentially Jacksonian. These actions uphold Jacksonian honor. Perceived threats to the U.S. security, whether based in reality or not, are met with overwhelming force to restore prestige and deter foes. And that brings us to the strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities in June of last year. Whether they completely destroyed the facilities or not, nobody argues the strikes at least degraded Iran's nuclear capabilities and did so without a full-scale war. At least to date, this was a policy of targeted coercion rather than prolonged occupation. Trump is now being pressured to abandon Jacksonian diplomacy in Iran. A ground invasion or prolonged entanglement in Iran would be a decisive and permanent break with what to date has been a fairly strict Trump version of Jacksonian foreign policy. This is the key going forward. Will Trump remain philosophically consistent in being guided by Jacksonian diplomacy, or will he abandon it for some other philosophical framework relative to how he deals with other nations? Trump will tell you American nationalism and anti-elitism permeate his diplomacy. His version of America First, outlined in the 2025 National Security Strategy, which we've covered on this program, rejects rules-based international order. It calls it a shackle. It withdraws from over 60 globalist organizations and focuses instead on bilateral deals between the United States and some other country. Demands for NATO allies to spend on defense, which he continues to enforce through tariffs and threats, reflect Jacksonian suspicion of burdensome alliances. Pressures Europe to shoulder more of their burden of defense and extracts concessions that pay for it. In theory, this brand of Trump's populism resonates with Jacksonian distrust of global elites and focuses priorities on things like critical minerals or energy independence. But overall, Trump's second-term policy has thus far, at least on its face, somewhat continued to embody Jacksonian diplomacy's strengths of deterrence and nationalism. It has exposed vulnerabilities like eroded global influence. Iran will be his true test. Will Donald Trump hold on to the Jacksonian diplomacy that has defined his foreign policy, or, as he's being pressured to do, will he forfeit his entire foreign policy legacy and succumb to the elitist and globalist bloodthirst of those who surround him? Time will tell. The answer will be clear. Here's where I would say it applies to what's been going on with Charlie Kirk. I didn't write this into the opening, but I thought it. Here's how it applies to what's going on with Charlie Kirk. You guys remember Charlie Kirk was rumored, at least, to have sat in the office with Donald Trump and begged him not to strike Iran. I worry that Charlie Kirk was one of the last Jacksonian diplomacists to exist in Trump's orbit. Marco Rubio certainly not. Pete Hegseth certainly isn't. I can't think of any of his major donors or family members that are. I just can't come to any conclusion. And I'm in this effort to try to figure out how Charlie Kirk died, who did it, and why. I don't know that any of those are settled right now. And as we look at trying to solve each of those issues, we need to look at things like this. Is it possible that a potential foreign policy entanglement necessitated the removal of a guy like Charlie Kirk because of the texts he was sending in the days leading up to his assassination? We'll look into it. Hope you enjoyed the opening as much as I did. Excuse me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Now, I've got a problem, and I've got to solve it. Do you guys remember when there was a gag order issued on the witnesses of the Charlie Kirk investigation? Do you guys remember that? There was a gag order issued on the witnesses. I'm going to show you a brief news clip if you forgot it. I'll actually read you directly from the order itself, and then we'll look at the rule behind the order. Guys, I'm taking this seriously. But I want to do it in least dense to most dense order. So here is the news report where they first disclosed the gag order that applied not only to the lawyers, but to the witnesses. Here was the problem they discussed.
Brought up a big issue involving thousands of people.
We're seeking some clarification with respect to the phrase all witnesses, Your Honor. There are a number of witnesses that have yet to be identified that would likely be used in the state's case. This occurred in front of 2,000 to 3,000 students at Utah Valley University. So we're in the process of identifying those witnesses. And so those individuals are presently unknown right now.
The court will rule that as the witnesses become known to each side, that information is conveyed to abide by this order. Obviously, there are potentially many witnesses, and so it's not the expectation that you would be able to do that up front, but as they become known.
The judge made it clear.
As they become known, witnesses are to abide by the order. Well, what is the order? What is the order? I have a copy of it. We'll look at it. We will even look at the rules cited in the order. Here is the order itself. Let me see if I can make it as big as humanly possible so we can all read together. Here is the order itself. This is the infamous gag order. The case has generated and is likely to continue to generate significant pretrial and trial publicity. That publicity can compromise the defendant's right to due process, his right to a fair trial. Pretrial publicity is a particular concern because it can taint the jury pool. They've been using this against us, saying we're not allowed to investigate what happened. So here's the thing. Lawyers who participated must abide strictly by Rule 3.6. I'll show you that rule in just a moment. And then it goes on to bind not only the lawyers, lawyers who participated or who will yet participate shall not intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly permit a witness, investigator, consultant, staff member, or other member of the prosecution or defense to make extrajudicial statements which, if made by the lawyer, would violate Rule 3.6. So there's your binding of the witnesses. If the lawyers are aware someone potentially could be called as a witness, they could potentially end up on the witness stand. They are required to abide by this Rule 3.6. Well, what is this Rule 3.6? What does 3.6 actually say? Lucky for you, I pulled up Utah State Court Rules of Professional Conduct, Rule 3.6. Remember what the order said. If it would bind the lawyers must tell the witnesses they can't violate this rule as if they were a lawyer. And here's what it says. The lawyers who's participating or has participated in the investigation of the matter shall not make extrajudicial statements that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicated proceeding in the matter. So what can you say? There's a list of things you can say. You can say someone's been charged. You can say information contained in the public record. You can say an investigation is in progress. You can talk about the scheduling. You can request assistance in obtaining evidence. Okay, there's all these things here. You can state the identity and occupation of the and family of the accused. You can talk about when he was arrested and where. There are very specific things you're allowed to talk about. Everything else, and there's additional guidance that's been given in this case. I don't want to bore you to tears going through all of it, but there has been additional guidance in this case. But it's suffice it to say, it is clear as a bell to me that anyone who was at the scene, who could be considered a witness, who could end up on the witness stand, should not be discussing guilt or innocence, whether or not somebody's, what the evidence may say. I mean, just got anything that the lawyer couldn't say. What they've pointed out is the witness cannot say if they know they are likely to become a witness. Well, let's talk about some of the people who were in the immediate vicinity of Charlie Kirk when it happened. There was Mikey McCoy. There was Dan Flood. There was Brian Harpole. These are obvious people who should be considered potential witnesses. But there was also Blake Neff. Do you remember Blake Neff? And then I ran. And then I caught up with Mikey. And then I went over Mikey's phone calls with him as he talked to his wife. And he immediately called Erica because he was trained to call Erica. Even though that didn't turn out to be true. And even though I've changed my story now 2 or 3 times about what happened and when, there I was on the scene about 11 feet away as I measured today. I don't want to pull the video up because I don't want people to get upset when I show the video, and I don't want YouTube to freak out. But I did a little math, and I think he was about 11 feet away from Charlie Kirk during the Big Bang. By any stretch of the imagination, a guy like Blake Neff would be considered a potential witness. There's not a scenario in which Blake Neff would not be considered a potential witness, which is why I was shocked preparing for this program when I turned on a clip from the Charlie Kirk show that has an email of freedom@charliekirk.com, and it even has a logo of the Charlie Kirk show. And there's a logo up here to the right that's Charlie Kirk. There's a picture of Charlie Kirk there. There's a picture of Charlie Kirk on the left-hand side. There's Charlie Kirk's Lewis book cover on the top left. I was shocked when I pulled this up. To begin with, let's just get this out of the way. Totally creepy that they still have the Charlie Kirk show going. Totally, absolutely unadulterated creep fest that they still have this show going on called the Charlie Kirk Show. Call it TPUSA Live. Call it Real America's Voice. Call it the Blake and Andrew show. It's gross. But imagine you're a juror and you've been following along, or you get assigned to the jury and you do what every juror in America does. You immediately punch into the Google machine, into YouTube, into news reports. You're immediately trying to find anything you can find about it. And there, sitting in front of a picture of Charlie Kirk, next to a picture of Charlie Kirk, on top of the word The Charlie Kirk Show, on top of an email address at charliekirk.com, to the left-hand side of a logo that says The Charlie Kirk Show, his name or picture is on this screen 6 different places. And this is the conversation that I guess they're alleging this does not violate that order, even though I cannot imagine a scenario where Blake Neff does not end up on a witness list. This is the conversation. I want you to listen to what Andrew says while he's sitting above all these logos under all these pictures at the same table as Blake Neff.
Preliminary hearing with Tyler Robinson, the accused killer. I certainly believe he's guilty of sin. And then we're going to have Senator Coach Tuberville, who's going to be joining us talking about the SAVE Act. So lots to get to. Without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to Blake because Blake had the job of going over through all 4 hours of the hearing yesterday.
Yeah, because if I'm TPUSA and I think who should cover the hearing, who should watch all 4 hours of the hearing? Should it be me, Andrew, who wasn't there? Maybe another one of our 700 employees or so that we have? Or should it be the guy who is standing 11 feet to his left? Who should I bring in to talk about it? Who should I have sitting above Charlie Kirk's name in 3 different places? Who should I have sitting under multiple pictures of Charlie Kirk? Who should we assign the beat of watching 4 hours of coverage and then distilling it into clips and talking about it, what it means? Yeah, I think I'll use Blake. I think that's a good idea. I don't want to play this whole thing because I would get so heated it would take us hours. But I'll also say this. I don't rule out that Andrew Kolvet could be a witness. I don't know that he should be talking either. I think Andrew Kolvet has to answer why he wasn't there as Charlie Kirk's chief media personality, when my understanding is he typically traveled with Charlie to events like this. So if I'm the defense lawyer, maybe I throw him on the witness stand and ask him, why weren't you there? What were you doing? But I want to fast forward a little bit because to about the 10-minute mark or so, I want to listen to a minute or so here. Oh, sorry, Andrew, I would have done you dirty like that. But I want you to listen to a little clip of this.
This is just very by the book professional. You can tell everybody's, and by the way, there's a whole game that goes on behind the scenes where the defense is trying to get the prosecution to trip up so that they can reverse the guilty verdict that we're presuming is going to come on appeal, that they can get them on a technicality.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's trying to do everything by the book. This is frustrating for us because we want to see justice done immediately. As a matter of fact, Erica Kirk has put in a statement saying, they have victim rights in the state of Utah. So she's able to assert her victim rights saying, I want a speedy trial, speedy justice. But they have to keep that in balance to make sure they don't overdo it and rush too fast so that to give the defense an excuse to, again, reverse it on appeal.
I have a couple more clips we want to hit.
So you have Andrew there basically saying, the only way they wouldn't convict this guy is if the sneaky defense lawyers do something sneaky and get it up on appeal. You know how those sneaky lawyers are. They're so sneaky. Oh, and by the way, we've got this poor woman here who just wants justice, and she just wants it as fast as possible. And you can hear Blake in the background going, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. And I just wonder, has nobody noticed that Blake was there? Under the tent, arrived with Charlie, ran off with Mikey, who assuredly is going to be a witness. I can't see how Blake wouldn't be a witness. I look at this and I think, this can't be a mistake. This cannot be a mistake. They know, in my opinion, my thoughts, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They want the defense lawyers to raise this issue. It makes them look persecuted, puts them in the news, they get more donations. I think that's my gut. That's my gut of what's happening here. They're trying to push the boundaries. Oh, they're trying to stop us because they don't want us to talk about Charlie Kirk. No, this is evidence to me. It's melting down in front of them, and they don't know what to do. Well, I just saw a comment go by that I'll get to towards the end of the show. So I thought that was an interesting set of facts there. We have a clear order issued by the judge that, to my knowledge, is still valid. We've read the underlying rule. It clearly bars anyone who could potentially be a witness from talking about things like guilt or innocence, anything that could taint the jury pool. We have a guy who is about 11 feet, maybe 12, maybe 13, maybe 9, maybe 10. I'm not the best estimator of distance in the world. But he was right there. He arrived at the scene with Charlie. He was with with the amazing Mikey McCoy immediately afterwards. There's no question in my mind that he would end up on a witness list at the very least. Whether or not he ends up as a witness is a different story altogether, but he would end up on the witness list, no question. Absolutely no question. It would be legal malpractice to not put Blake on the witness list. And the fact that nobody's identified that problem and nobody's tried to solve that problem yet is a little bit of problem, a little problematic. All right. The big news over the weekend or over the night yesterday. There was a young lady named Audrey Laitsch who's being billed as a TPUSA employee. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that's inaccurate. That's inaccurate. I understand why they're saying that. I understand why everybody's calling her a TPUSA employee. She is not. I think I might even put TPUSA employee in the... Oh, no, I said fired TPUSA contractor. Ladies and gentlemen, I learned something today about some more contractors, more shady contractors they have, and I'm going to ask the question tonight if it violates the law. But first, I want to go through what's happening here. I'm going to pull up Andrew Kolvet's LinkedIn account because there's a company on here. He's the founder and CEO of ATK Company. And here's the company here, ATK Media, Inc. It doesn't say he's an employee of TPUSA. Now, we all call him TPUSA spokesperson. We call him an employee. But the reality is, as we'll learn in Ms. Laitsch's comment in a little bit, he's not an employee at all. Neither is she. Now, remember, neither is their COO, Tyler Boyer, or their former COO, Tyler Boyer, who says he built the place from the ground up. I thought that was a little interesting to me. It immediately made me run, and I'll play the clip in a second. I don't want to play it and then break away and then have to pull it back up. But it made me immediately run to the IRS website. I wrote a memo. I actually found the memo. I'm not going to read from it because I don't know what portion of it's privileged. It was pretty sharp and biting. I actually wrote a memo for a client at one time about whether or not they could call their employees contractors or employees. It is a nonprofit company. The question was, Baron, can we call our people contractors or can we call them employees? Well, the IRS weighs in on that. The IRS has this thing, determine whether the individual providing services are employees or independent contractors, and they're very serious about it. And I'll explain why in just a second. But you click here and you can see if someone's an independent contractor or an employee. There are rules. There's no like one size fits all. You know, does the company control or have the right to control what the worker does and where the worker does his or her job? In other words, is the employee coming to the office every day? Well, that leans in favor of employee. Is the person coming to the office every day? Yeah, it's probably an employee, or it looks like an employee. Can the person come and go as they want, or are there set hours? Like we work from 8 to 6, lady. You need to be there from 8 to 6. And if you come in at 5 a.m. and you leave at noon, well, that's not going to cut it. Are there aspects of the job that are controlled by the employer? Like how you get paid, whether expenses are reimbursed, who provides tools, supplies? In other words, are you using TPUSA resources? Are there written contracts? Are you working? And there's other IRS. There's actually 3 different IRS websites, 3 different IRS web pages you can go to. But one of them is like, do you have other customers, or is this this is your only customer? And I looked at this and so I went back to my very biting, because I disagreed with the person who asked me to do it. I said, no, those are employees. Do not call them contractors. You're going to get yourself in trouble. But here are some of the reasons I came up with why a nonprofit might want to call someone a contractor and not an employee, If you're an employee, you're subject to overtime or comp time rules. Even if you're exempt, it doesn't mean you can be abused. You get things like the Family Medical Leave Act. You could take up to 12 weeks off for the birth of a child to help out with a sick person. The employer has to withhold payroll taxes. That's usually 7.65% of your salary. So you have to withhold that, and then you have to pay it to the government on behalf of the employee, but you also have to match it. So if you match it, now your $100,000 employee actually costs you $107,650. But beyond payroll taxes, there's things like unemployment insurance you have to pay. That could be upwards of $500 per employee. You've got to get workers' comp insurance. Again, it's not free. If you have more than 50 employees, which TPUSA does, the employee has a right to get on your group health insurance plan. The Affordable Care Act defines what types of coverage must be provided, and it is pricey. You also have to have things like a written affirmative action plan. There might be retirement plans, matching benefits, other optional benefits, life insurance, death, disability. And so there's this real pecuniary incentive that employers have to call people contractors when in fact they're employees. By any stretch of the imagination, they're employees. So I would look at this girl's situation and I would say, and I'm going to play the clip in just a second, and we'll evaluate this based on what she said. I'm guessing she's not the only one. But I would look at it and say, well, where did you go to work every day? Did you go into the main office? Whose equipment were you using? Were you using your own computer? Were you using Andrew Kolvet's ATK Media computer? Or were you using a TPUSA computer? Did you have an email at TPUSA? Was your email, first name dot last name at tpusa.com? Here's another problem I came across. If you're going to be a contractor, you have to register to do business in the states in which you are a contractor. For example, Arizona. Well, I looked up ATK Media, ATK Company. I see no registration. These are all the ATKs in Arizona that I could find. ATK Equipment, ATK Handyman, ATK Enterprises. None of these that I could find go back to Andrew Kolvet. I do. And again, he has it up here on the LinkedIn as ATK Media Inc. That's not there. Almost all of these are LLCs. The only corporation is ATK Construction. I doubt that's him. So I ask, is Andrew Kolvet even registered to do business in Arizona? And if you don't register to do business in a state, some states won't let you defend yourself in their courts. But it certainly weighs in favor of her being an employee, not a contractor. Your company's not even registered to do business here. Unless you think this is small potatoes, unless you think this doesn't matter, the IRS takes this very seriously. They do a lot of fines. They do a lot of prosecutions on this very issue. So I want to play some of the clips of this girl talking. I want to cover not only the angle that she is potentially a contractor and not an employee, and then I'll tell you why that bothers me so much. It's not about taxes. Not at all about taxes. It's about insider transactions that to me could possibly be illegal if these people were employees. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. And again, I blanket all of this with allegedly. I have not validated that they 100% are not employees or contractors. I'm just going based on what I see. But I want to play a clip. I want to play a few clips of this girl, including, and she seems credible to me. She seems very polite. I take her at her word. I give the disclaimer that everything she's saying here could be a lie. I don't believe that's true, but, I'll give you that disclaimer. You guys be the judge of her credibility. So just in the first 17 seconds, to me, she gives the game away about what's going on at TPUSA. I'll let you see if you catch it.
My name is Audrey Laitsch, and I am the former public relations manager for Turning Point USA. And
Okay, she was the public relations manager for TPUSA. Now listen to what she says here.
I was a part of the recent kind of mass termination group at Turning Point.
She got fired from Turning Point. Like, has she said anything yet that makes you think she's a contractor? I was their public relations manager. She didn't say, I was a public relations manager in my contracting duties. I have all these other clients. They were one of my many clients. No, she's talking like a fired employee. We will let her continue.
And was let go about 3 weeks ago. And at the time of my release, I was working for the ATK company, which is spokesman Andrew Kolvet's private business that contracts out with the Turning Point kind of ecosystem. So encompassing of Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. I was working directly for him prior.
Lest you get caught up in the fact that they were working for more than one entity, and well, maybe it's just easier if they're contractors. No. Here's how you do that, because this is very, very common. And here's what I advised my client to do when I was asked this question just a few years ago. Just keep track of their time. If 60% of their time is spent for TPUSA.com or TPUSA Normal to Inc., the 501c3, then you attribute 60% of their salary to TPUSA, and you guys internally allocate the money between the organizations. If 40% of her time was for TPUSA Action, you just send them a check for 40%. Like, you're allowed to transfer the money behind the scenes to settle it out. What you're not allowed to do is call someone a contractor when they're an employee. And here, well, let me go ahead and give the game away. Here's why I'm concerned by this, because here's what was happening with some of these other people that I think were obvious employees, but were being listed as contractors. When you're with a 501c3 and you have a high-ranking position, you can't have a contract with the 501c3. It looks like self-dealing. It's illegal. It's illegal. And so if you're Tyler Boyer and you're in the C-suite and you're taking $1 million extra, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if Tyler Boyer was doing any insider dealing or not, but I mean, he got fantastically wealthy while working there. And I mean, maybe he's a shrewd businessman. Who knows? But he wouldn't be allowed to take any of these side deals related to TPUSA, nor would Andrew Kolvet. Well, what did Andrew Kolvet, this is the key. What did Andrew Kolvet tell Candace Owens? Or what did he tell somebody who told Candace Owens? Allegedly, when Charlie Kirk turned down the big dollar donation or the opportunity to take him to the next level, it cost him millions. I remember at the time thinking, how is that? He's an employee. You can't just pay employees millions of dollars out of a 501c3. But if they're contractors, you can. If they're contractors, you can. You see what's happening here? This is more evidence that this entire organization is a fraud, in my opinion. Now, again, they're not transparent. We have no idea what's really going on behind the scenes. All I am doing is taking this woman at her face value. And what she's saying has me deeply concerned about what's going on over there. Deeply concerned. Now, lest you think she's some sort of scorned person, I'm going to let her talk for a little bit here about her experience there and what she thought of it, and then I'll skip ahead.
To that, I did work for Turning Point USA. So I've been with the organization since 2021. So my boss, Andrew Kolvet, and I had a very close working relationship. I talked with him on a weekly, if not daily basis. My tasks were assigned by him to me. Working directly for him was a challenge and very intimidating because, he was Charlie's right-hand guy, always in Charlie's
right-hand guy didn't even work for the company? I mean, I'm telling you, I'm just shocked by these revelations as she's talking.
Constantly. And so it was very important to me to be an impressive and loyal employee to Andrew, to which I believe I certainly was. I did so many things for that company. I worked many, many hours outside of my general kind of understanding of what this job entailed.
That's not what contractors do, by the way. Contractors don't work overtime for free. There's a statement of work. I'll give you this many hours. These are the projects I'll do. You don't just take a contractor and start throwing work at them. She describes here working 20-hour days, going 48 consecutive hours without sleeping. taking it very personally, getting ready for the TPUSA AmFest event, the memorial and everything. That's not how you treat a contractor. I've been around contractors my whole career. That's not how you treat a contractor.
And I had no problem with it because I wanted to work hard for both Andrew and Charlie, for my coworkers.
Coworkers. Were those coworkers Andrew's employees? Or are you talking about the TPUSA people? Because it matters. When the IRS is looking at whether or not you're an employee, when the federal government's looking at whether or not you're an employee or a contractor, that matters. Who are you considering your coworkers?
And for the Lord. And that was the expectation that Charlie had for us as well, was
the expectation Charlie had for them. Again, Charlie works at TPUSA. Charlie doesn't work at ATK. How can he have an expectation of how ATK handles their employment?
to work very hard. I really believed in the mission of Turning Point and what we were doing.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead at this point because I've gotten out of that what I wanted to get out of that. Now, I want to skip ahead to where she talks about who her boss is, because she says she's a contractor for Andrew Kolvet. I mean, she says she's an employee of Andrew Kolvet and a contractor at TPUSA. Well, that would make her CEO who, class? That's right. Andrew Kolvet would be her CEO. Who does she say her CEO is?
These people that Charlie put into leadership positions, I didn't always agree with, but I was certainly in no place to judge the discretion of my CEO. I trusted that he put the right people in charge, but
she's calling Charlie Kirk her CEO. Guys, this is important. This is, you can't operate this way and call yourself an honest person. That's the problem. It goes directly to the heart of the integrity of the organization, in my opinion. And that's why I'm so steamed about this today. It goes right to the heart of the organization. Everybody's focusing on this girl's story because she's a fired employee. I took one listen and thought she wasn't an employee at all. That's what she says. I mean, it goes right to the heart of the integrity of the organization. We're sold on this we're sold on this idea that TPUSA must stand. These are this heart of God people. These are godly, honest people full of integrity. And what we're finding out is they're skimming millions of dollars out of the organization, allegedly. It's what it looks like. I don't know if it's true. I don't have their bank records. But it looks like they're skimming millions of dollars out of the organization. They're miscategorizing who works there and who doesn't for God knows what reason. It's a real problem. You guys remember when I told you a few episodes ago, I told you I'm not calling it a money laundering organization, but if it was, this is what it would look like. And I found several other charities as I was doing background research for this program. I didn't end up doing those shows, but I spent probably 18 hours doing background research, digging through the financial reports of many other, I'll say it, in my opinion, other shady nonprofits, including TPUSA. And they all have this same pattern. And it bothers me. It deeply bothers me. Don't talk to me about how my investigation into Erica Kirk's demon eyes or my investigation into whether he was shot with a weapon or whether there was some other modality that took him down. Don't tell me my investigation is somehow, trashing the legacy of Charlie Kirk. If you're going to run your organization this way, you can't do that. Unless you think the IRS is going to get involved. Did we forget the letter from December 3rd and 4th where the commissioner, the acting commissioner of the IRS and the current secretary of the Treasury wrote a letter to Erica Kirk basically saying, you guys are good? Guys, the IRS is not investigating this. This is a moral determination from me. This is my opinion of a moral determination. Do I give any credibility whatsoever to the things coming out of the mouths of Andrew Kolvet, Mikey McCoy, Erica Kirk, their lawyers, their finance people, Tyler Boyer? No, I don't. Why? This is why. This is why. I don't give them any credibility because, in my opinion, you can't run an organization this way and be a decent person. You can't run an organization this way and be honest. That's not how it works. You need to steep yourself, like the Bible says. You need to be above reproach. How long did she work on the day of the Big Bang? How long? Listen to this. Tell me what you think about an organization that does this and then doo-doo cans someone.
Years from that time I just spoke about in 2022, 2023, all the way up until September 10th, 2025. Obviously, it was an extremely traumatizing day for everyone. I think pretty much everyone in the world with any amount of sanity was slightly traumatized by what they saw. It was an extremely traumatizing day for me. And I worked nonstop. My phone received hundreds of phone calls on September 10th, thousands of text messages, and multiple times I kind of got reprimanded for not being responsive enough to people, but I literally just could not keep up with everything that was happening between my email and my personal phone and my work phone. It was just nonstop. And I've seen a video of a coworker of mine who was also released from Turning Point. She spoke about 20-hour days. Yeah, absolutely. Those were very, very real, especially for those first 2 months post Charlie's assassination.
Does that sound like a contractor? That's all I got to say. And again, it matters to me. I'm deeply disturbed by this classification. I had no idea this was taking place in there. It goes right to your integrity. You know, what would you think if you're a Baptist preacher, you found out he cheated on his taxes? They're acting like they're a church. You know, when they talk about, oh, the mission must continue, we have to make heaven crowded. Oh, the mission must continue, we have to save souls. Oh, the mission must continue. I mean, you can't do both of those things. You need to repent. You need to repent. Now, to further my point, listen to who comes in to fire her. It's not only Andrew Kolvet.
Despite all of that, I want to go ahead and fast forward to my termination, which took place about 3 weeks ago. And I was brought into an office to have a discussion just generally about my employment. It was myself, Andrew Kolvet, and Marina Muniz, who is the CMO of Turning Point USA, who I used to work for when I was just full-time with Turning Point prior to joining the ATK company. They pulled me into a room.
She's fired by the CMO. I mean, that again, she doesn't work for the CMO. She's brought in specific, not to ask for her explanation, but to be told, we're firing you. You don't fire the employees of a contractor. You know, imagine this. You've got a guy doing your roof, right? You hire him to do your roof. That's a contractor. He brings his own materials. He decides how the job gets done. He has his own employees. He's got his own insurance. He's got other customers. I mean, clear as day, clear-cut example of a contractor. If you don't like one of his employees, you don't get to fire them. That's just a fact. Just not your call. It's irrelevant what you think. You can go to the contractor and say, I don't want that person on my property anymore. But you don't get you as the homeowner don't get to fire the employees of the roofer. That's what we have here. We have an employee of TPUSA who's firing an employee of a vendor. It's weird. It's not right. Now I want to play one quick comment here. I'm almost done with our friend here. Lest you think she's doing this to bash Erica, she had a comment about it. And I want you to listen to what she had to say about it.
Thoughts of Erica at the time. I've actually known Erica since 2013. We were doing pageants around the same time as one another. She was in the Miss USA organization and I was in the Miss United States organization. And we happened to cross paths at an event. So I've known Erica for quite some time. And my thoughts of her and nobody liking her do not align whatsoever with that timeline of October or November. So that was one of Turning Point's reasons for letting me go. So unlike my peers, I actually was given reason. However, there's another thing I kind of want to dive into. To protect myself, I am going to preface with Turning Point has not insinuated this. They never told me anything like this. However, I just have a gut feeling that I was terminated from Turning Point because I am questioning the narrative of what happened to my role model and CEO, Charlie Kirk, on the day of his assassination.
Called him her CEO again. Lady, your CEO is Andrew Kolvet. I got bad news for you. Charlie Kirk was not your CEO. Hadn't been in years. Erica Kirk was not your CEO. This bothers me because it goes right to the heart of the integrity of the organization. Now, final clip. What was Erica Kirk's big point of having the Zoom calls? We heard 2 Zoom calls. Remember the one time I had a counter going? She mentioned the word family like 9 times in 8 minutes, whatever it was. Oh, you guys are my family. Go home and journal. Family, journal, family, journal, and then do family. We're all family. You guys are family. I'll never fire my family. How long do these people even work at TPUSA? You ready for this? How long do these people even work here?
Young people. So really the purpose of me coming on here and speaking with you today is to just bring light to the situation of the treatment happening inside the organization. All of these people who have been terminated were the most hardworking, loyal, honest employees that Turning Point has ever had. And I know that because I've actually been at Turning Point longer than most people. That's public record. You can see it for yourself on these job websites. Turning Point's average length of employment is about 1.5 to 2 years. And so to be there for almost 5 years is actually quite some time.
She's calling people family who have been there on average 1.5 to 2 years. Meaning a lot of people have been there less than 1.5 or 2 years because this woman was here more than 5. Again, it goes right to the heart of the integrity of the organization. I find it has almost none, in my opinion. Almost none. You cannot conclude anything else, in my opinion. I have real deep issues, real deep disdain for the way they were running that organization. Now, it's possible that this is why Charlie Kirk wanted a DOGE audit. That's possible. Maybe he looked around and thought, are we doing this right? Should we get an outside entity to come in and really dig around? I think that was Justin Strife maybe was supposed to head that up. Now, maybe looking back, he might have selected the wrong person to head up that DOGE effort. No, I'm not going to say the A word. I see your comments. It's a DOGE effort. Just like you go to an effortition when you're going to try out for a role, you don't go to an audition because we don't say that word on this program. You go to an effortition. And that effortition is a lot of times in an effortorium, not an auditorium, an effortorium. And so you don't do a DOGE audit. That's ludicrous. Who would say such a thing? You do a DOGE effort, a DOGE effort. Maybe that's why he wanted a DOGE effort. Maybe he looked around and said, I think you guys are ruining this organization. Now, I didn't play this part, but she does say in the last couple of years, she took a step back, or Charlie Kirk had taken a step back, and she didn't question that he had put some people in roles that she didn't think were necessarily qualified or doing a good job. So it's possible, reading into the DOGE effort letter and reading into her comments, her statements, We might look in a new light, perhaps, at the people who say, well, Charlie wouldn't have needed a DOGE audit. He ran a top-notch organization. He just was an efficiency machine. Maybe that's when he was really hands-on, but in the last couple of years, he had stepped back, we heard. I want to flash back in time. I have an interview Charlie Kirk did on it was posted on June 29. I don't know what day he actually did it. An emailer sent this to me. I don't remember who it was. And they asked about, how did you get so rich? I thought it was an interesting conversation. And he says something in the midst of it that made me think, whoa, we got a problem on our hands. We've got a real problem on our hands here. I don't know who the lawyers are over there or who their advisors are. But he says something here, but whether or not you... Well, let me just play the clip. Because I think what he says will be a little... I don't want to tell you what you're supposed to feel.
Now, you've started making quite a lot of money going from the beginning to where you are now.
Very blessed.
How have you handled your own personal finances?
Very carefully. I mean, I'm a big investor. I have a great team that does it. So, I mean, just to be clear, I didn't take a salary from Turning Point USA the first 5 years. So, and I didn't want it. I mean, all the money went back into the company. And so
So all of that to say, now keep in mind, Turning Point started in 2012. If he didn't take a salary, really it was 2013. If he didn't take a salary for 5 years, that's 2018. Does anybody know what else happened in Charlie's life in 2018? He had taken no salary, meaning he had not accumulated all this ridiculous wealth he has, and it is ridiculous. They sold their house for $5.25 million. The wealth is ridiculous. When you're working at a nonprofit, it's ridiculous to live in a $5.2 million house. That's right. He met Erica in 2018. So if we put 2 and 2 together, he didn't take a salary for 5 years until he met Erica. Then he starts taking a salary. Now listen to what happens to his finances after he meets Erica.
the test of a founder is always like, what do you pay yourself the first couple of years? And unless you have kids at home, or else you have like a family to support, like, mom that's sick, you should not be taking money out of the company. Like it all should be going back in. Because it's so precious at that point, in that period of time. And so I would say that probably over 75 to 80% of all the money I make is invested.
What do you invest in?
I mean, it's very diversified from private equity, which is great. So once you're able to make enough money, you're able to kind of get access to private equity deals, which is great.
He makes enough money to get access to private equity deals. He didn't take a salary for 5 years. Erica comes along and all of a sudden he's making enough money to get access to private equity deals.
Right. I'm super boring with some stuff too. I'm just like, hey, buy this mutual fund, buy the Dow, buy this index, and just kind of put it aside. I went all in and bought the dip during the tariff stuff and COVID.
Fantastic.
During COVID, I bought triple leverage, triple Q.
No, you
way.
didn't.
Of course I did. Yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you
Of
mean,
course
of
you did.
course?
I mean, like,
What are you doing? You should become a financial advisor, man. You got to start your own fund.
Why was that so obvious to you to go
I mean, it's
triple leverage?
It was the easiest bet I've ever made in my life.
Why?
You're in a bet against America. By the way,
I think the argument was that it could get a lot worse
Fine,
before
I mean,
it gets
if-
better. And
if
we
you
didn't
believe,
know
like-
that there was going to be $2 trillion printed into
well,
the
first of all,
economy
that's
that
true.
fast.
And by the way, I was against that. But I mean, my whole premise at the time was, this is so self-inflicted. We decided to shut down the country. A meteor didn't strike. It's not an alien invasion. We could reverse this immediately. And so I said, and by the way, I'm investing for the next 30 years. You're trying to tell me the Dow is going to remain about 17,000 points for the next 30 years. So basically, I was like, I'm buying triple Q, triple leverage. I mean, it was like kind of ballsy when you think about it.
Yeah.
looking back,
I
right?
guess what you don't know is that how far can it go before businesses start flat out
Sure.
going,
So to
like,
be clear,
bankrupt?
I started
Yeah.
to buy when I started to see a little bit of signs of hope, right?
Okay.
Like I tried to see the bottom. If I remember correctly, it went down to like 17, 18,000. And then I just kind of plowed a bunch of money into it. By the way, I was like, fine. I wasn't even married at the time. I had no kids.
Do you manage your own money or do you have
No,
people?
I have a great guy that does, but I call a lot of shots. Like I make macro decisions, not micro decisions. That's the way I say. I'm not a good micro investor. Buy this company, not that company. The only thing I'll say is like when Elon's company went on Tesla, I want to buy Tesla just as kind of a symbolic philosophical thing because I thought he was being treated so terribly. But like macro stuff I'll get involved in. So For example, if there's like, hey, I want to invest in, more artificial intelligence, or, I think that, oil is undervalued, we'll have a conversation. The guy that does it is a guy named Doug DeGroot.
The guy who does all his investing is a guy named Doug DeGroot. Anyone know who that is? As soon as he said it, red flags went off all in my head. Doug DeGroot is on the board of TPUSA. He's one of the few board members, and he was on the board with Charlie. Meaning, Doug DeGroot set Charlie's salary. And if Doug DeGroot set Charlie's salary, the more money Doug DeGroot made, the more money Charlie made, guess who made even more money? Doug DeGroot, because Doug DeGroot's doing all his investments. That's the board of directors right there. There's only 5 living people on the board of directors. Between Charlie, and keep in mind, Erica was not on the board at the time. Between Charlie and Doug DeGroot, they make up 40% of the board, including the founder. The founder and the chair usually gets their way on a board vote. Now he would probably recuse himself from salary discussions. But I as soon as I heard that, I thought, oh my gosh, you have a board member who's managing your money? If you guys came to me as a lawyer and said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a nonprofit. It's going to make about $100 million a year, give or take. It's going to be a lot of series of complex deals going on. There's going to be some side real estate deals going on. We're going to be tapping into private equity. But I'm going to be paid handsomely. I'm getting 7 figures out of this deal. And I think, and again, I don't know exactly what Charlie was making, but it was a lot. It was way more than the average American salary, which is like $40,000. It was something in the neighborhood of like 25 times or more what the average American made. And that's just what was running through here. I have strong suspicions that he was making money other places. That there were people who wanted access to Charlie Kirk. They wanted to buy his influence. He had the podcast. He had book deals. He had real estate deals. We just learned he had private equity deals. We just learned that, in the last few months that Erica Kirk is now the CEO, meaning the more money she makes, the more money Doug DeGroot has to invest. Now, here is how financial advisors get paid. If you give them $1 million, there's fees that accumulate. It could be a percentage basis. It could be on a transaction basis. But it adds up really quickly when you're as rich as these people are. It could accrue hundreds of thousands of dollars a year or more to the guy managing the money. That to me is an obvious conflict of interest. I would be very interested to read the TPUSA conflict of interest policy. Very interested. I'd be interested to see if Charlie Kirk and Doug DeGroot both signed it. I'd be interested to see if Erica Kirk has since signed it. Now, I don't have access to their books. I don't have access to their policies, but I do have access to common sense. I have access to, experience, legal experience, financial experience. I know how things work. And I know the second he said that, the very second he said that, I almost fell out of my chair. I almost fell out of my chair. The only other part of this I want to play is Charlie Kirk talks about DOGE. So we will find out what he meant, because this conversation took place at the end of June. Then we have July and August, a little summer activity here. And at the very beginning of September is when he wrote the DOGE effort memo. So this is probably our best insight as to what Charlie Kirk meant by the term DOGE. What is it Charlie Kirk wanted out of DOGE? That has been an effort of debate It's been an effort of legal letters flying around. You can't say audit. You can only say effort. Well, we have Charlie Kirk on the record talking about DOGE. What is it Charlie Kirk believed about DOGE?
Nation, you have no growth, then you're going to be in a really bad spot.
What happened to Doge? It just seemed
Oh, I don't
like
think it's done. I
no?
think, but first of all, I think Elon did a lot of good work.
Yeah.
I really did. First of all, I think Elon's greatest contribution was a philosophical one. I think Elon made us all realize how much waste there is and how much we really need to kind of get into the details of how much the government is inefficient from a technological standpoint, from a efficiency standpoint. So I don't think it's over by any means. I think DOGE is a cultural mindset that is going to be hopefully around the Republican Party for years to come.
It just seemed like Congress didn't really have that big of an
They don't.
incentive to do anything about it. What was most surprising, Elon said that he just wanted people to code and write in a description of where the money went. Because right now you could basically just leave it blank, send money, and not write what the purpose of the money is for.
Yes.
And he just said, just put something in there. And he said he was up against just a wall that they didn't even mandate that.
It's a very complicated. So yeah, that's right. And so
It just
there
seems
is
common sense to just type what it's for.
there is so much waste in the federal government, and my hope is that we can start to rein it in the next couple of months and couple of years. It's a beast though, guys. I mean, it is a wild monster that is hard to rein in. And I know that sounds like cope and an excuse, but you have an entrenched permanent bureaucracy of millions of people. And then you have judges that are preventing literally the Trump administration from doing some of this stuff. You have federal judges that are coming in and preventing, President Donald Trump from being like, nope, I want to lay off these workers. Nope, I want to cut this aid. Nope, I want to cut this, which of course is unconstitutional. So yes, I mean, it would be nice. Here's the goal. The goal would be we need to blockchain the entire federal government, put the entire federal government on blockchain. And then number two, every dime of federal spending online in real time. We should know what everybody is spending in real time, no different than a transparent federal database.
So DOGE was to root out fraud, waste, and abuse. I don't remember the exact word he used. I think he said waste. There's so much waste. That's what DOGE was to him. Let's go find the waste and let's get rid of it.
Be a national security.
Let's go find the waste and get rid of the waste. That was DOGE. Let's find the waste, get rid of the waste. And let's have a real-time way to account for every dollar that's being spent. Like, we don't have to wonder anymore what it was Charlie was interested in with the word DOGE. Waste, fraud, abuse, tracking the money, seeing it in real time, being accountable for it. So when you go back and read the DOGE effort memo, I think it's commonsensical to read into that memo that conversation. I think these people are liars. I honestly am to the point where I believe they serve the father of lies. And if they're liars who serve the father of lies, this is my opinion. All of that's my opinion. But if they're liars who serve the father of lies, if I'm right about that, what's the difference between that and getting rid of him if he becomes inconvenient? What difference does it make? Why are we to believe they're above other sins like murder? It bothers me. It bothers me that we're being gaslit and told that we're the problem because we're on the outside going, wait a minute, what the hell's going on inside that place? And where's Mikey McCoy? And why is Andrew Kolvet on a show with Blake Neff that's called the Charlie Kirk Show? He's been dead. We're coming up on 5 months. October, November, December, January. We're coming up on 4 months. No, we're coming up on 5 months. In 5 days, it will have been 5 months. They're still on the Charlie Kirk Show. It's creepy. It's weird. Now, if they have an end date, they'll announce, hey, at the 6 month anniversary or the 1 year anniversary, we'll put the name Charlie Kirk Show to bed. Well, that's different. But I don't have to guess anymore what he meant by DOGE. It's waste, fraud, abuse, accountability. And if he's wanting to do a DOGE internally, I'm guessing he's talking about the same stuff. Tracking every dime, making sure there's no waste, holding everybody accountable for every penny spent. It's right out of his mouth. Oh, and don't use your board member who sets your salary and approves all the spending, approves the budgets. That's part of the role of the board. Don't use that guy to manage your finances. It's a bad look, even if it's not illegal, which I don't know if it is or not. I wouldn't want to be the lawyer telling him it's okay. And so there's lots of reasons that we've discussed tonight why somebody might want to get rid of him. I mean, you've got the DOGE effort. Maybe someone doesn't want to be around, doesn't want him around to do the waste, fraud, abuse, and accountability analysis. You've got really weird employee classifications that potentially could be illegal and cost you a lot of money. You have potential conflicts of interest taking place in your organization. There's just a lot of issues that are going on, not the least of which is you have a witness, a guaranteed witness, I think, in my opinion. I think it'd be, honestly, legal malpractice for the defense. I don't even think the prosecution would name Blake Neff. I think the defense would. It would be, in my opinion, legal malpractice to not put Blake Neff on the witness list. At least put him on the witness list. Whether or not you call him, that's a game time decision during the course of the trial. But I would add him to the list. He was right there. He rode in with him. He left with Mikey McCoy. And so you just have this knowing situation where they're just flaunting the judge's order that potential witnesses don't talk about the trial, don't talk about guilt or innocence. They're certainly not supposed to be going, yeah, while you're talking about the case. The dog, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you caught that or not. I see. I don't know if you can tell. I've moved the camera a little bit. Did I tell you that? I moved the camera this way a little bit, and now apparently I've got to move. Tilt Rosa a little more. She's gleaming in the background, and she's highlighting the fact that I can't sit still because my head is bobbing back and forth across her picture. All right, let me start with the grumblers tonight because I still feel bad about what happened the other night. Indiana HB 1075 passed in 2023 gives ATG authority to dissolve a nonprofit if it fails to use assets for their intended purpose, commits gross mismanagement, fails to maintain records, or does not respond. Well, thank you, Dom. I appreciate that. I will take it under advisement. Baron, I think Charlie and Erica were united purposefully, as in a total setup to take Charlie down. Your thoughts? I'm starting to believe that. I didn't believe that at first, but I just thought that would be such a play, like such a long-term play. I'm starting to believe it. Are we close to the real murderers? Is that why everything is acting up on here, like audio notifications and such? So we were right. It was them. That's my understanding. You don't do all that for somebody who says the earth is flat. You notice the people that, I mean, you might make fun of them, but they don't really attack them. They don't try to put them in jail. If you go out there and say the earth is flat, nobody's like, you got to go to jail. We're not going to let you say that. No, it's who cares? Right? Who cares if they say it's flat? But if you say that the assassination of Charlie Kirk might have been an inside job or perhaps a military or government operation, oh, now we got to shut you down. Now you can't stop. Baron, I imagine you peeking through your fingers, not peeing through them, as I typed in the chat earlier. Holding your breath while wiggling in your chair a couple of minutes into Candace's live. Go, Max. Whoop, whoop. Candace was absolutely on fire. Her open letter to Erica was so devastating. I mean, it was an absolute masterclass. I'm so thankful she's on this case. So thankful. So thankful. Getting a Go Max tattoo. Who's with me? I am not getting one. I got too many tattoos. I can't get any more. But I'm not telling you not to. Who here watched Babylon Rising? I did. I watched it twice. It was that fascinating to me. I watched it twice. Baron, I tried my best to keep sharp tongue at bay, but last night I had no choice but to unleash it. I felt like someone was going after my brother. I was blocked. Thank you. Jesus, praise for you and fam. I'm not worried about it. Don't worry about me. Y'all, the best thing you guys can do is just ignore people. Congrats on 200,000. Thank you. Yeah, we celebrated at the end of yesterday's show. It happened right at the end of the show. I had to beg. If I'm being honest, I was like 30 people short, and I wanted it to happen on the show. I was like at 199,965 or something. I was like, please, just subscribe. And they did. So thank you. Thank you. Hi, Baron. The fact that Candace Owens finally shared that CK had lied to her and started changing for worse. Candace must have revealed EK was bad news from beginning and sharing he didn't have his ring on. Reason Candace was on fire today. Yeah, I've noticed that, well, to begin with, guys, you guys know it's BS. That if you have to get up early and get a good night's sleep, the last place you want to sleep is one of your kids' beds. Right? You want to be in your bed, on your side of the bed, with your pillow and your blanket and your mattress, in your room, next to your bathroom, with your nightstand right there, with your stuff on it. You don't want to bunk out in a princess bed. I knew the moment she said that he was sleeping in there so he could get some sleep, she was lying. That was my impression. That was my opinion. What a lie. Plus, he didn't have his wedding ring on, and the necklace he supposedly never took off, she had custody of overnight. And she has no alibi for where she was the couple of days prior. Was she adding anything to the necklace? Was he wearing it the day before? Was he wearing it the day before? Was he wearing it September 8th and 9th? Or did she go get it repaired? Or did she lose it or misplace it? I have serious questions about that necklace. It's too shady. Way too shady. God bless you, Baron. Could you enlighten us who Pierre Falcone is? Candace talked about him tonight, and a few of us are confused about who he is. Of course I can. Happy to do so. Here is Pierre Falcone. He is from, I think, Algeria originally. Let me look here. Let me just pull up his wiki and we'll roll through it real quick. Pierre Falcone. He's a rich guy. Yeah, he's French, chairman of the Pearson Capital Group, but he is originally from Algeria. If you know anything about Algeria, particularly in this area where he was born, the 50s and 60s, it was basically an open air CIA operation, the whole country. In fact, a lot of the people that were troublemakers here in the United States fled to Algeria during this period, this exact period where he was growing up over there. He moved to Brazil, started making money, and just became an absolute billionaire many times over. When China opened, he went over there doing some consulting, negotiated with Angola. He was that kind of a big wig. And he owns this real estate development group. You remember when Candace said that she heard originally what she heard was the money that was potentially coming in was related to real estate. That was her original take on where the money was going to come from. The big donation was going to come from real estate, or it's going to be a real estate venture. Well, that fits right in with Pierre Falcone. Who do you think finished Charlie's book? Unit 8200. I have no idea. I don't know. It wasn't Erica. I know that. I know. After listening to her talk, I don't think she could write a book. Why no body armor if feeling threatened? Sabotage? No, not sabotage. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered if assuming the wound was a bullet, it wouldn't have mattered because he wouldn't be in body armor with a neck. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway, assuming it was a bullet. But I think, I've worn body armor. It is extremely hot and heavy. It was 92 degrees there that afternoon in UVU when the Big Bang happened. He typically wore T-shirts, obviously in the summer. I just think it was inconvenient. You can't hide it, right? You can't hide it under a T-shirt. It would have been totally obvious he was wearing it. I feel so bad for Charlie's children. One day they'll be able to see all this and hate their own mother for at least not wanting the truth or at most contributing. Keep doing you, Baron. Christ is king. I don't want to comment on the kids. I want to leave them out of my analysis. I do have thoughts on them, but thank you. I don't know that I wholly disagree with you. Could you remind me what night you went over the Monroe Doctrine? My brother thinks I'm anti-American for not supporting the Venezuelan takeover. Help, please. Maybe. Hold on. Let me do a search of my opens and see if it pops up. We will. It was January 4th. January 4th. I'm glad I save all those. You would have been cooked. January 4th. Has there ever been a spouse whose husband was murdered and then grieved and lied like Erica Kirk did and was not perceived as a suspect in any way? Thanks for all you do. You're truly a blessing. Christ is king and counselor. Yeah, Christ is king indeed. Hey, no. And this, hang on, guys. I'm sorry that late in the evening I get this way. I hadn't coughed all day. I don't think so. And I said this on a recent episode, and someone asked for an example. There was a Netflix series where the neighbor allegedly took out one of the other neighbors, and the way they figured out it was him was he was just acting so weird and shady and telling lies, and, things were just out of sorts. In other words, he was acting exactly like Erica Kirk is doing right now. If someone's lying about conversations Charlie had or things Charlie wrote or things Charlie said, and they're just being proven to be liars over and over and over and over and over again, which I think is what's happening to Erica if I'm reading the facts correctly. No, I don't think there's any way that she shouldn't be investigated. Like seriously investigated. Thank you for the honesty, intellect, and laughs. Oh, you're welcome. Questions to be asked: was Erica traveling so much now? Who takes her mom to treatment? I don't know. But I mean, they can trust me. She can afford to have someone cart her mom around. When did the severe phase of Lyme begin? You're referencing the fact that Erica's mom allegedly has Lyme disease. I don't know that either. How's her mom doing now? I don't know that either. I don't keep up with her mom. The only thing I have is a few days before the Big Bang, Erica put up a video allegedly of her mom. I'm not 100% sure that was her mom, but allegedly of her mom. And she didn't look good, but who knows? Maybe it comes and goes. As a fellow automotive fan, IMSA Le Mans, JP Super GT, what would your dream 5-car garage look like? I want a 93 Mustang Cobra with under 100 miles on it. I want a 53 Corvette, completely restored. I have to think about that one. Those two are no-brainers, in my opinion. Those two are absolute no-brainers, non-negotiables. I love the Fox body Mustang. A 93 Cobra. I don't know if I said GT or not, but yeah, those two are on the list. Trying to think if there's just anything else that just jumps out at me. No, nothing that just jumps out of my mind. I hadn't thought about it. I will now, though. Hi, Baron. Thanks for all your hard work preparing for the show 4 or more days a week to give a great experience. Go Max. Thank you. Yeah, with the 4 days a week on the main show and then at least an hour or two, sometimes more, on the member show. I did put the members show back up that I'd taken down. I wanted to take it down because I wanted the situation to just go away. You know, you feed a troll and it grows, right? You don't feed gremlins after midnight. But I decided to put it back up because I thought, hey, these people are paying for this. You can't take it away from them. And so that's something yeah. But I mean, between all that, yeah, it's a lot of shows. My son has taken to calling you my BF. Oh, boyfriend. I'm assuming that's not best friend. My kids would call that best friend. Sorry, Mrs. Coleman. But better an 18-year-old teenager and a 76-year-old kid mama I'm responsible for all day. This is my time. Go back. I'm a kept man. I'm a well-kept man. Uncle Baron, I became a member tonight. Time to go Max Christ is King. Welcome to the club. If you'd like to join the membership, just go click the member button. We do have some fun over there, and you can get access to the old member shows, even the crazy interview we had recently. You can get access to the Coach Colin interview and just some of the solo Q&As with the folks. Hey, Baron, I sent you an email about a guy named Nathan Reynolds. His story should be shared with more people. Also, look into the Catholic land movement. Get connected with one in your area or start one. Christ is King. I'll consider it. I don't know much about it. Thank you, though. Candace channeling her inner notorious B.I.G. to Erica. If you don't know, now you know. Censored. Congratulations on 200,000 subs. Thank you, Duchess. Are you the real Duchess of Camelot? Because if so, I don't even know if that's a real title. Do you think TPUSA is afraid to actually take legal action against CO because of discovery? Or do you think they will sue her anyway, no matter what? I think after tonight, we'll probably know what they're willing to risk. What would you sue her for? You got to have a cause of action. Like, you can't just sue somebody for nothing. That doesn't go well, especially if it's a defamation type claim, because most states have anti-SLAPP statutes. So if you sue somebody, you end up paying a bunch of money. Like, you know, if someone tries to sue me for defamation, I'm going to crush them. And so I don't know, man. But especially if they sue in a state with an anti-SLAPP statute. So I don't know. That's an interesting one there. I don't think they'll sue her. I think it would make them look really bad. Excuse my typos in my first super chat. YouTube appears to not want to be called a high IQ outfit. Wowza. Oh, I hate that because we are a high IQ outfit. Everyone needs to read One Nation Under Blackmail. Is that Whitney Webb? Baron. It dawned on me today while having a slice of a type of food I really like that I don't ever want to say it like that kind of food again. The demons ruined it. Christ is King. You must be talking about a slice of, you know, where you put the dough and then the tomato sauce and then you put the cheese and the toppings. Is that what you're talking about, young man? The one where the Cabot kid had it tattooed on his lips, creepily. Baron, longtime listener, first-time commenter and donor, though I emailed you about VM, the Colorado GOP Gov candidate. Love your work. Trying to catch my dad up on the CK case. Which 3 to 4 RBP episodes should he start with to inform him? Christ is King. Oh, that's a good question. Out of 50, what are we on? 59 now? Gosh, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. They're all so good. They're all so wonderful. How can you? It's like picking your favorite kid. You can't do that. You can't do that. But thank you. If the moon was made of cheese, thank you for joining us over here, and for getting your dad on board as well. Baron, congratulations on 200,000. I'm so pleased. Great opening statement. We appreciate you. Thank you. Again, let me pull this down for just a second and talk about the opening statement. I hope you understand where I was going with that. Because if Donald Trump gives into the bait and he does a big strike on Iran, it's not just the consequences and the fallout. If you change your foreign policy posture after basically 45 or 50 public years of advocating for Jacksonian diplomacy, this is Donald Trump's history. He's basically been a Jacksonian from the beginning. I love Andrew Jackson. You can see him right there. Like, he's like, I'm a Jacksonian. I'm more pacifist probably than Jackson. Probably. But everybody has their faults. I'm not gonna answer whether it's my fault or his, but everybody has their faults. But I mean, I'm deeply a Jacksonian at heart. I want a very big, strong military, and I want them completely muzzled and kept on the sidelines up to only good. And then when we need them, I want them to unleash holy hell on whoever caused us trouble, and I want them immediately back home. That's Andrew Jackson. That's Jacksonian diplomacy. That's been Trump for the most part. For the most part. Perplexed by Periwinkle's hoodie. Oh, I like that. Been a rough day. Grateful to have this show to look forward to. Cheers. Oh, Alpaca Renee, I hate that. You're one of the good guys. I hate that you're having a rough day. I hope it improves. Hope it improves. If you haven't, please look into Murder Abduction of Captain Will Morgan. Your opening statements are like John Q. Adams' letters on Freemasonry, shining light in the darkness. I have not seen those letters. I'll have to look at those. John Quincy Adams. I don't know much about him, honestly. Charlie was so smart, but Charlie was also on the spectrum. Someone that looks like Erica bats her eyes at Charlie, and he fell hard. Love blinded him, but I think he might have been figuring her out. There's more to that story. And I don't think it's my place to tell it, but there's more to that story. I love the show, buddy. Look forward to it. Thank you, Truest Patriot. Yeah, there's, I don't know if it'll come out one day or not. There's more to that story. It's the timing of meeting Erica is even worse than you imagine. It's so much worse than you imagine. That's why I think they're not going after Candace, because then why would she not just release everything? Baron, your analysis is truly inspirational. I'm going back to Catholicism because of you. Interesting how a Huachuca class graduated post 9/21/18. Well, I don't follow the date. Congratulations on getting back to the Lord. Everybody should get back to the Lord. We preach that here. We believe in the demonic, and we try to run to the one source that can cure it. So thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Today's Candace episode convinced me that she now knows exactly what happened to Charlie. What do you think? I think she's known. Maybe not the precise mechanics of it, but I think she knows the why and is working on the how. But maybe she knows more than I even imagined she knows. This is my first time doing a super chat. I wanted to ask everyone to pray in Our Father, to pray for protection over Candace, St. Michael, St. Joseph, and Our Lady. Pray for us. I will do that. The Our Father's an easy one. Everyone knows that. Even the Protestants know that. You just don't say the last couple lines they tacked on. Just end on evil and then say amen and be done with it. That's how we do it. But other than that, it's identical. We don't do the thine stuff. At some point, are y'all going to burn out the phrase "Go Max"? It's close to becoming corny and cringe. I mean, every day, y'all. No, sir. No, we're not. We shan't. We shan't. Sorry you feel that way. I hate that you paid to say that. Jackson's my favorite president. Only one to eliminate the national debt. I visited his grave last month. They did not fulfill his wish in putting "I killed the bank" on his tombstone. Well, they have been controlling things a long time. Speaking of 45-47, I want to know if he knew what was going to happen to Charlie Kirk. I don't know. But I know when he was asked about it, he pointed out how cool the ballroom was. Oh, that was not his best moment. Contrast his first comments on Ruth Bader Ginsburg with his first comments on Charlie Kirk. Wow, I didn't know that. Oh, she was a good, decent, honest person, honorable person. She'll be missed. Well, you have any comments on Charlie Kirk? Have you seen the ballroom? It's amazing. There'll be some real dancing in there. Pay no attention to what they're building under it. Just pay attention to the dance floor. It's going to be amazing. And Chucky was good. He was a nice kid. Nice kid. Nice guy. I think JD liked him. He is the elitist and globalist bloodthirst. He's a monster. Okay. I'm assuming he is Don T. That who you're talking about? Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide. No escape from reality. Open your eyes. Look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy. You gave $5 to recite the lyrics to a Queen song? I'll take it. I'll take it all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. But I wouldn't have done it. I'm just kidding. If you want to send some song lyrics, I'll be happy to read them. I'm just messing with you, brother. After watching Candace's show, I just want to implore everyone to pray for the protection for the ones trying to bring the truth to light and doing God's work. Yes, we need to pray for all these people and the electronic equipment they sit behind. Don't want to get shocked. Don't want to get electrocuted. Don't want to sound like garbled demon voices. Don't want to hear double sound when you try to play something. Had all those problems and more in the last couple of days just on this very one program. Speaking of, did I tell you this last night? There's another podcaster you guys know and love. I don't know that he wants me to out him, but a guy you know and love who has had multiple things implanted on his machine, and he's a very careful man. Multiple things implanted on his machine that he's had to go and have professionally removed. Guys, it's scary out there. Scary out there. Hey, Baron, you're my favorite show, along with Candace Owens. Addis Fleet on YouTube is doing some great TP parodies. Recent The Headquarters episode is 2. Episode 2 is gold. Go Max. I like his stuff. He does a good job. Or she, whoever. Does a great stuff. John 844. Happy to. I can find John. It's when y'all hit me with the weird stuff that I have a little trouble. John, I can go right to it. My favorite book. My favorite book of the Bible. I should know it off the top of my head, but I don't. Golly, some nights the print is just smaller than other nights, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys have any of those books that some days the print is big and jumps off the page and sometimes it's really little? You belong to your father, the devil, and you willingly carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in truth because there is no truth in him. When he tells a lie, he speaks in character because he's a liar and the father of lies. You talking about Andrew Kolvet? I'm kidding, Andrew, ATK. I only jest. Wish you best of luck on your show tomorrow. Going to be hard to be the bad cop tonight after Candace just went intergalactic tonight. My wife and I never miss your show. Go Max. It's about time she put on the bad cop hat. I even told her that to her face. I said, you know, my chat thinks you're the good cop and I'm the bad cop. She said, why? And I said, are you kidding me? You're like, you're so prepared and calm. You dress in like beautiful clothes. And you're like temperate with the way you present your information. And she said, well, how is that terribly different? I said, I put on a hoodie and rant. She got a kick out of it. Fantastic opening. Love the way you brought Jacksonian diplomacy to the forefront. I hope DJT sees that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Oh, well, thank you. Andrew Jackson doesn't get enough love in this day and age. Although his picture is the biggest picture, I think, in the White House right now. You know, they redecorate the Oval Office. I'm not going to comment on the Oval Office. It's a little weird right now, to be honest. But he did bring in a giant picture of Andrew Jackson. A giant picture in there. A young Andrew Jackson, too. Aloha, Baron. Love the show. I'm a paralyzed man of 25 years, and you helped bring me closer to Christ. Thank you. I love how you end with Jesus loves you. It often brings me tears of joy. Christ is king. Christ is king indeed, Damon. Obviously, I would say, I've only personally known a single paralyzed person. And he was neck down, like he moved with his mouth, like moved around, and he was unbelievably joyful, from what I recall. I was only around him a few times, maybe 3 or 4, but he was unbelievably joyful, like always bright spirits, had a good time. And he was a good example to me because sometimes I get down on my luck, and I think, feels like everything's going wrong. And, you never know where you're going to find inspiration. Damon, you may have just inspired many people tonight that are inspired by your tears of joy. So thank you for sharing that with us. I genuinely appreciate you sharing that with us. It inspired me. I hope it inspired others. Thank you. Hey, Baron. Baron, can you imagine when you were Google trending for clients such as grocery chains that you would be here today? God uses all things for good. Genuinely happy for your success. God bless. Go Max. I don't know if I've shared. I think I have. Maybe it was on the member side. Every single thing I've done in my career, up to and including the 7.5 weeks I spent at the Department of Revenue, has prepared me for this day. It's like, I shared this with my wife. I said, everything we've ever done has put me in a position to sit behind that microphone in front of that camera and talk to this crowd. Every single thing. I see God at work in that, because there were so many times that, things just veered, like everything was going great, and then everything just veered out of control. And I was like, where'd that job go? Or, where'd that client go? Nah, we're going to be in a lot of trouble now. And then, you scrape and scratch, and maybe you pursue a new line of work. But then you use those two experiences together, and that boosts you to the next thing that had to happen in order for you to get the experience to make sure you were ready, even consulting for a grocery chain in the Mid-Atlantic, sitting at a Pittsburgh Pirates game. All led to this. So thank you for that. No, I could not have imagined. Baron, activist voices for peace are always silenced. Gandhi, JFK, Malcolm X, MLK, RFK, John Lennon, and now Charlie. Love your show. Christ is King. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. Someone sent me a book. I haven't read it, obviously. But it's called Martyrs to the Unspeakable: The Assassinations of JFK, Malcolm, Martin, and RFK. And I do intend to read it because it looks fascinating. I have pictures of 3 of those 4 people that I own. The only one I don't have is RFK. Maybe I should make it a quattro. Yeah, it's true. The permanent war and again, think about the opening we did with oh gosh, what's his name? It's escaping me. He wrote 7-Story Mountain, New Seeds of Contemplation. Thomas Merton. Think of the opening we did with Thomas Merton. I think he was murdered. Why? Because he wanted peace. He wanted the end of the Vietnam War. Like, they don't mess around when you want peace. The PDF Mafia have demonetized Max Blumenthal. He needs support. Have they really? How? What did he do? He's an important voice. I hate that you paid to say that. Made me think of Senator Kennedy saying they should be able to hate us for free. I don't think that guy hates us. I just didn't understand the link. I got to check into that Max Blumenthal thing. Let me pull up a window and get that going so I can look at it after the show. That's interesting. On your last episode, you said Babylon Rising was a must listen. When I search, this loads of things come up. Do you have a link to what you were referencing? Yeah. Let me look it up. If you look up Babylon Rising, let me give you one more word to search. Babylon Rising, look it up on YouTube. The channel is, or you can look up Rob Skiba, S-K-I-B-A. He's the speaker. S-K-I-B-A. Sierra Kilo, S-K-I-B-A. B is in Bravo. And that will get it. Babylon Rising. The First Shall Be Last by Rob Skiba. It was excellent. I listened to it twice. Hi, Baron. I understand what Candace Owens said tonight regarding Bibi and Pierre, who set up the Patsy. Since the FBI flew right in, miraculously solved the case using the Patsy, did we, the U.S. elites, know about it? They were on the scene awfully quickly. I'll say that. They were on the scene nearly immediately. And it's not an FBI case. It's a state case. While I appreciate your ability to remain positive when it comes to Trump, I tend to believe him when he showed he was bought for $250 million. I have my concerns, but I want the best. Just like I wanted the best for Obama, wanted the best for Bush, wanted the best for Clinton. Like you want the best for your president because we rise or fall with their success or failure. So, he's in office. I want the best. Like I want him to succeed because that means we succeed. So I don't know if maybe I'm being misunderstood in translation. Maybe that doesn't come across well. Look at an ACT, 1,200 milligrams a day. It's very good for your lungs and liver. I have 5 or 6 bottles of it. The problem is, as an asthmatic, it causes me more issues than most people when it comes to my lungs. Like it does clear the desire to cough, but it makes it more inflamed. Asthma's both. It's constriction and inflammation. It helps with the constriction, which clears up the mucus, but it does not help with the inflammation. It makes it worse. I've tried it like 10 times. That's why I have so many bottles of it. More like potential suspects in the murder, and Stacy should be there too as well as Erica. That's your opinion. How likely is it that any high-level government employees get called in to testify in the TR trial? If the defense does their job, there should be some high-profile people that would know something. I think if they get to that point where they have somebody high-profile they can, in good faith, call to the stand, I think the case will have collapsed by that point. So I don't suspect there would be much of a trial going on at that point. Keep in mind the discovery process. When you name witnesses, sometimes you have to defend their ability to be on the witness list. Like all this would come out before the trial. There are almost no Perry Mason moments in trial. Not if both sides are doing their job. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Call it behind Charlie Kirk's back show. Ooh. I don't know what's going on tonight, guys. I do know this is an amazing cup. Excuse me. I maintain that AK is the source. Candace knows info only he would know. Maybe he truly loved CK and he is willing to do anything to get at the truth. The one thing I hold on to with that, like I'm tempted to just put it out of my head and say, no, he's a bad actor. But there's one fact she keeps mentioning that somebody who was involved wouldn't say. And she keeps saying that when he landed at the airport, he was so distraught, he collapsed into Erica Kirk's arms crying. I didn't see anybody else collapse and cry. That leads me to believe, perhaps, you might be right. But I don't know. I don't want to say that. They still have subscriptions to Charlie Kirk's personal website, too. Paywalls everywhere. Who still has subscriptions? They? You talking about they? Or are you talking about TPUSA? Thanks, Cash Money. Promise not to make mistakes and followed up with hilarious mistakes. It's called Baronian. Oh. I do that a lot. I do that a whole lot. They can't call Blake as a witness because he lied and changed his own story multiple times on video. The defense team could easily discredit him on the stand. That's why the defense team would call him. That's exactly why the defense team would call him. Prosecution might not be able to call him, but the defense could. Have I looked at Google Trends for Nancy Guthrie? I have not. That whole story's weird. Her daughter makes tens of millions of dollars a year, I think. And the reward for this woman's capture is like $2,500. Like, I've seen higher rewards for missing cats, like house cats, not Not a cat that escaped from the zoo. I'm talking about like, Sniffles or some orange tabby. I've seen those go as high as $5,000. A calico. I had a calico at one time. You don't want to know her name. It'll show you how far I've come in my politics if you knew her name. Oh my gosh. I just realized that. My cat was a good cat, though. Better than the woman she was named after. I'll tell you that. No one would watch the Blake and Andrew show. Well, no one watches the Charlie Kirk show with Blake and Andrew on it. I saw their numbers. It's not well attended. I sent the email of video that after Charlie Kirk incident, his necklace was given to Blake. It's on TT. Okay. Well, then he's definitely a witness. I'll check the email. Just to clarify, I hope DJT stays the course and sticks to Jacksonian diplomacy. Good catch on Audrey, the independent contractor. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, is to catch the little things and make sure I blow them up so big and go so bad cop and make such a big deal out of them, it burns in your brain. Just about the time you think to yourself, dang it, I wish he would move on. He's made his point. Then I can move on. Short of that, if I move on before that, you'll forget it because that's human nature. So lest you ever worry about my ability to be a professional broadcaster, just know you'll never forget that woman basically claimed she was an employee while being labeled an independent contractor. And you'll know the consequences of it and why I was so exercised by it. Please look into who they had at TPUSA America Fest. Grant Cardone was there, and he's involved in Scientology. I think they have infiltrated TPUSA, explains the money, loves, and firing. I don't know anything about Scientology. But I mean, for an ultra-Christian organization that is super conservative, they also had Ben Shapiro. You know what I'm saying? When I first started watching you, I thought you were so spazzed that I couldn't continue, and I definitely wasn't going to listen to you read messages wrong. But I won you over, didn't I? I am not a spaz, young lady. That's an ugly word. We don't use that. That makes fun of people with neurological conditions. No, we don't use the S word. I said the R word one time and took hell in my emails. Oh, my gosh. FBI agent with Guthrie case mentioned at the presser today that Cash had a trip to AZ initially scheduled for an unrelated event. He's now devoting resources to the case. Fort Haktua is pretty close. Yeah, but why would they go after Nancy Guthrie? What's she ever done? She's like a frumpy elderly woman. I'm thinking of the right person, right? I think I saw a picture of her. No offense if you're a frumpy elderly person. Yeah, I'm right. I mean, mostly. I mean, she looks like any other elderly person. I shouldn't have said that. Don't call people frumpy. All right. It's like using the R word. I'm going to catch hell. But there's nothing about Nancy that I can tell. There's nothing about Nancy Guthrie that would say, oh, we got to get her. All right, on a checklist of people, we got to get Charlie Kirk because he could turn the entire world against our greatest ally. We got to get him out of the way. Let's go after Savannah Guthrie's mom while we're down there. Yeah, what are we doing with Savannah Guthrie's mom? Well, let's just get her. Yeah, but why? Why? She's like a 75-year-old woman who's just kind of minding her own business. Yeah, but they'll only put like a $2,500 reward up. No one will rat on us for $2,500. Come on. Are you still iced in? No. I can't walk down my driveway, let alone drive out. Day 13 of being home. I'm ready for the big melt tomorrow. We still have some residual snow on the ground, but only where it was piled up, like on the side of the road or the side of the driveway. Most of the rest of it is gone. I mean, I think it was in the 40s today. And I think it's going to be in the 40s tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look here. Yeah, 56 tomorrow. Say goodbye to the ice. Can't read that text, but it made me laugh, and it went right along with what we're talking about. I'm not convinced that the message to Nick S. about coming on the show was from CK and not AK. It wasn't a message. It was from the Charlie Kirk show. If AK should be suspect, if so, AK should be a suspect instead of a witness. Who's Nick S? Are you talking about the guy in a hoodie that supposedly took down Minnesota? I'm not drawing the connection. I do apologize, just common sensing it. You're normally a great commenter, is very clear, and maybe this is my problem. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Have you seen the recent Einstein photos from Israel? I have. I think they're AI, though. I don't think they're real. But I will say this. Let's see if I can pull it up. Do I still have it pulled up? This is interesting. So I'll just explain it. In the files that were released the other day, we found out what his username was to play video games, believe it or not. You can sit around as a man worth that much money, have that much influence over the world's politics, finances, science, and you can sit around playing video games under the moniker Littlest Jeff 1. So I got on the Wayback Machine, or I got on Google and I time limited it and went back like 10 years just to see what else he was doing under that username. I didn't find anything. Then I opened it up and I found where that username was actively playing games right now, like tonight, while I was looking at it. It said it was still active. And it's been active for the last 6 months. And this isn't a name that I'm aware of anybody knew about until 4 or 5 days ago. But 6 months ago, someone's playing the exact same types of video games he played, using the exact same name he used. That's nuts. I put it on my X if anybody wants to see it. It's my last X post. That's crazy. Crazy. IMO, Blake Neff, and Mikey McCoy cannot be considered witnesses because they were gone from the scene before the Big Bang happened at breakneck speed. No, they weren't. They were not done. They were not gone before the Big Bang. If you watch the video, there's bang, and then like instantly they both turn around and walk off. Or actually, Blake runs. He even hits somebody with a jab step, looking like Fernando Mendoza. Bang, bang, running people over. He was swift, man, fleet of foot. But they were there for the big event. They were there. The fact that these people will hunt down anyone, including their own, aka elites, to make sure their agendas, operations, etc., go off without a hitch should scare the doo-doo out of everyone. God bless 2A. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Yeah, it's a little disconcerting, obviously. I just can't imagine the panic at TPUSA while watching this. I don't think they're that worried. They know nobody's coming after them. For whatever reason, they're untouchable. I've not paid my small portion to watch Tex in a few episodes. Keep up the great work between me and you. I don't super chat any other creator. I won't tell anyone our secret, Gorilla Maddox. That is not going to come out. Roy Cohn was originally Trump's longtime mentor. Maybe think of your opening and Cohn's link to McCarthy. How much influence do you think that has on Trump's strategy? I've been racking my something to piece it together. I can't see your the emojis are so small on my screen I can't possibly see them. I actually covered Roy Cohn and McCarthy on an opening not terribly long ago. I don't remember which one it was. But I've been putting the topic of the opening statement in the description. So if you're ever looking in the last like few episodes, and I know Joe McCarthy was one of them. So if you'd like to hear that, if you think you would like to hear that, you can go back and click and look at the descriptions and figure out which episode that was. Could she not be a 1099 contractor for Andrew's company? Well, yeah, obviously Andrew's a 1099 contractor for TPUSA is what it sounded like. I don't know whether she's an employee or a contractor for Andrew or not, but my point is, and maybe it was lost, this is why I say things 10 times. My point is, the IRS has a test to determine whether you're a contractor or an employee. And yes, there's all kinds of pecuniary and legal benefits to calling someone a contractor, which is why they have a test. And it's possible that she should have been classified as an employee. Based on what I heard, I would lean that way. I don't know all the facts, obviously. But did you get a chance to watch that clip of Erica Glenn Beck interview I emailed you? If so, your thoughts? I did. It was a little weird. I mean, she seemed to pause after she read it, but it wasn't anything so weird that it like took my breath away. Yeah, we have the best mods in the business. I mean, these guys take it very seriously. Like they have their own room they go to like strategize. These guys, I'm going to take care of them. Trust me, I'm going to take care of them. I got to figure out who they are first, though. So if employee actually works for ATK, is that company giving her benefits? Sounds like there has to be lawsuit potential. First time super chat ever. Well, it depends on how many employees he has, whether or not there's any federal requirement that he offers benefits at all. That's the problem. That's why there are all these rules about you must classify people, because we are the government. I mean, the government of, by, and for the people. We as a society get together and say, hey, wait a minute. If we let people classify everyone as an independent contractor, then nobody will be classified as an employee at all, and there'll be no employee protections for anybody. Everybody will just be considered a contractor. We got together as a people and said, we don't want that. That's not the country we want to live in. We want to live in a place where when you go work for somebody, that they can't abuse you. There have to be some basic levels of protection. Now, we might disagree about whether those levels of protection go too far. You know, should you have to offer somebody group health insurance? Should you have to give somebody a 15-minute break every 2 hours? I mean, we can argue over the finer points, but as a society, we've kind of come to a general consensus that if someone's acting like an employee, they should be called an employee, and the rules of an employee should apply. That's what I was trying to get across tonight. None of us are safe. So glad I'm from the South and have plenty of those things in your house. Those sick sons of biscuit eaters have no limits, and neither do I. Well, we're not going to be threatening on this show, sir. ATK does not have AZ paperwork filed. That's what I thought. I went and looked. I didn't think they did either. Resolute Media, formed with CK, however, formed in Delaware, does have operating documents in AZ and several other states. One might wonder how those companies intertwine. Yeah, but she doesn't work for Resolute Media. Not what she said. She said she worked for ATK. And if she works for ATK, ATK has to be registered there. Yeah, Baron. Keep, yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Baron, carpet bombing truth. Second sortie to Candace's mushroom cloud. Mr. A Hoodie came to play. Keep going, Max. Sir, I'm doing my best. I'm having a little trouble reading tonight, apparently. Thank you, Paul. I'm a subcontractor. I bounce around a lot of work. I all my own tools, work cover, transportation, own taxes, insurance, accommodation, own hours, etc. That's a contractor. Now imagine if you took your exact contractor status, but you showed up to the same employment place every day. You went into the office. You sat down at the desk. They determined when you came and went. They gave you work hours. They told you, no, we're working late tonight. You're stuck here. You worked there for 5 years. At some point, you're not a contractor. And it matters. YT won't allow to type a hoodie brand. Oh, I didn't know that. Evil is far worse when it pretends to be Christian. Agreed. There's a biblical precedent for that too. If you read the story of Ananias and Sapphira, there was no requirement that they give any money. They just lied about it. Bang! Struck dead. Yeah. Don't get caught slipping. Notice how the TPUSA background has God written in gold at the same level as Trump's picture. It's not by accident. It's subliminal messaging tactics. Since CK's passing, it's like an arm of the GOP. It's worse than that. It's an arm of a foreign government. It just so happens our GOP also is, so they become indistinguishable. What would be the legal ramifications if TPUSA was found of fraud, in your professional opinion, with what knowledge you have? Well, they'd have to pay back taxes, and they would probably want to look at all 700 employees over the last 5 years and 7 years, whatever it is, and whatever the clawback period is or the look back period is. And they would want to, I mean, there potentially could be criminal penalties associated with it. Or you can't lie to the federal government. 18 USC 1001. You can't do it. Can't do it. You sign under the penalty of perjury. Do you really think CK did not know how the company was being run and that he didn't have a hand in it? He was a smart guy. Yeah, but she said something tonight that made me wonder, because she said that he had kind of stepped back out of the way and had put other people in, and that she wasn't too sure about their qualifications or how they were doing it. And that sort of led me to believe that it's possible that maybe it was running well a few years ago, and now it's not running well. It doesn't matter. No, that's not the test that the government uses. What company name is on her check does not matter. It's irrelevant. I appreciate your chiming in, but it doesn't matter. That's not how the federal government determines whether you're an employee or a contractor. Lynn Forster de Rothschild looks like she could be Erica's mother, or it could be possible that Lynn is a cousin of Lori Francevey. The resemblance is uncanny. I will look. I don't know that I looked at her. Lynn Forrester. Oh, wow. She does look like her. Oh, that's weird. Let me share the screen, ladies and gentlemen. This is nuts. Look at this. She's even kind of built like her in that picture right there. I'd have to look at her fingers. Erica has very distinct fingers. I'd have to look at her fingers. Actually, our fingers inherited, though. Maybe they didn't pass them. Maybe she got her fingers from her dad. He's a big boy. Alleged father. Disclosed on Fox News, they're making all student. Again, I can't see your emojis. They're just too small. Something in Washington fill out authority to access all their medical records to join physical and psychological and school. TP gets authority. What? You're saying TPUSA chapters are requiring anyone that wants to join them in the state to fill out access to medical records? That's weird. I would say that there's no way, but wonder if her work in PH was on TPUSA or ATK account. Wonder if her work PH. Oh, her work phone. Well, that's a good one. That's a great question. Watched a video of CK talking about how management, admin duties, etc., are not his skill set, respectively. This makes sense. Baron, thank you for always supporting Candace. I truly believe you, Candace, Ian, and the crew will help save the nation and world through that. Thank you, Crisis King. Crisis King, indeed. I've got good faith in our little team we've got building over here. September 16th, last day to willingly sign divorce papers. Sleeping separately, no ring. Post seeking sympathy, changed heart from CK had to 86 before made public. Why would there be a last day to sign divorce papers? Unless there was a standing court date that she had to make a decision by that day. Is there any evidence there's any kind of sealed file or something? I don't buy that. I mean, I'm interested. I will look at whatever you send, but I don't buy it. A collection of carnies. She's fired for free for. Gosh, I can't read tonight, guys. So she's fired for speech against a company she doesn't work for. She should lawyer up. Bongino, self-acclaimed podfather. We have new Fredo. Is it just me or does he look different? He looks totally different. Weirded out by that guy. I watched what Jimmy Dore had to say about him today. It was great. I'll be on Jimmy Dore tomorrow night. I don't know if I've told you that yet. I think at 3:00 tomorrow, I'll be on Jimmy Dore. 3:00 Central, 4:00 Eastern. So if you're not a Jimmy Dore fan, you should be. But I'll be there. Wouldn't the no talking from potential witnesses hold especially true for Brian Harpole, who gave the in-depth interview? And wouldn't he have known that before he gave the interview? Yeah. We asked that at the time. How's he giving an interview? Baron, I work for unemployment in different state and specifically work with reimbursable employers, MPOs, and government agencies based on their misclassifying employees. I'm starting to wonder if they engaged in SUTA dumping as well. Ooh. Is that unemployment tax? Social Security Act. Amended the Social Security Act to curb SUTA dumping, a tax evasion scheme where employers manipulate experience ratings to pay lower state unemployment insurance taxes. I thought it was unemployment tax. It mandated states to prohibit transferring payroll to shell companies to lower tax rates, requiring penalties for violators. Oh, so you're saying they pay lower unemployment taxes they show on fewer employees. That's interesting. Well done, Tired Grouch. Well done. I think there's something weird going on. The state of Indiana should investigate. They're incorporated in Indiana. Baron, I had merch idea, but YouTube wouldn't let me send it. It was a shirt with a 5-letter word that starts with G and ends with M. It was a shirt, 5-letter word. Oh, yeah, you're not going to be allowed to send that word through YouTube. Good work as always, sir. Go Max. That would be a funny shirt, though. Everybody walking around with a shirt that says that on it. If you're wondering, the middle letter is Y. 4th letter is I. 2nd letter is O. They get weirded out when you say that stuff, though. There's so much waste in the federal government, but you better pay your fair share in taxes. Are we the dumbest American generation to ever live? No, there have been a lot dumber generations that came before us. You kidding? Way dumber generations. My heart aches for Charlie's kids. They will grow up and find out what Candace shared today. Well, they will find out their mother is on the record telling lies, according to Candace. That would be hard to digest. For a wealthy man, could he not find longer pants? I didn't say it because I was being kind. I normally comment on stuff like that. But man, it looked like he was ready for the water to rise. He was not going to get caught by a river going over the banks. No, sir, not Charlie Kirk. He was not going to be caught unaware. He was ready for the rain. That was funny. Good comment, Van Allen. Radiation Bell. Good to hear from you. I hadn't heard from you in a while. Things changed once CK got married and had kids. He started trusting others to help run the company. I think he trusted the wrong people. Yeah, you think? TPUSA works for the oligarchs. I don't think Charlie wanted it that way. It got past him quick, and right when he wanted to make an effort to make some important changes, money and message, he ends up DED, dead. Yeah, good call. Nailed it. Wouldn't Doug also benefit if EK stays CEO? Yeah, I pointed that out. If I didn't, I meant to. Love this show, man. You're doing great. Yeah, I tried to point that out. Hi, Baron. From a fellow brother in Christ, Boilermaker, I've chosen to bestow upon you the title of my favorite IU fan. With great power, this seems to be your only opinion I don't agree with. I can't move the camera. Oh, let me do this. I'll take a picture of it. Then I'll show you the picture. I got something and hung it up today. This is now gracing my wall. Check that out, Boilermaker. Look at that. That's right. That's all metal. 3-dimensional. I figured it was safe to buy the big one. I don't think Indiana's about to go on a run after being the losingest team in history. But yeah, isn't that a beauty? That's not going to be on my wall in perpetuity. Yes. Hi, Baron, from a fellow brother in Christ and Boiler. Well, I didn't mean to read it twice. I wasn't trying to rub it in. Where was? Oh yeah, great podcast again. Plugging another content creator, Zach Costello, as he got called a G word on Twitter for talking about the treatment of Christians in Bethlehem. Insulting Christians is fine, apparently. Oh man, Jesus told us it would happen. He warned us. And that is why there's no longer a Charlie Kirk. I'm so ashamed of this place using God and Charlie to be rich. Boy, a lot of them did. In my opinion. think Tyler and Erica watch and study videos of Charlie and Candace to appear to be his perfect soulmate and influence Charlie decisions. Charlie learned who she was and what was happening around him. Man, all you got to do is look at her eyes when she talks. There's no way that he wandered around the house and thought, yeah, she's normal. Don't everyone's eyes do that when they talk? Can you imagine her, like he's saying something to the dinner table? She's like, stop. I was just cutting my, yeah, but your fork. The way your fork is going against your plate, Charlie. Oh, I'm sorry. I won't let it happen again. Well, don't. I bet it was like that every day. Like everything she came across, that's what happened. Barron equals Huxley. Candace is Darwin. Thomas Henry Huxley, English biologist and anthropologist who became known as Darwin's bulldog for his advocacy of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. All right. Danks has uncovered severe evidence. TP is groundwork for surveillance state. The Gov, military, White House, etc. involved. It's deep. There's legal docs, land deals, millions of drones involved. Please look. They have evidence. I like Danks quite a lot. I don't know if you guys follow his stuff, but I think if you just YouTube, get on there and use their search function and search for Danks, you'll find him. I do genuinely like his work quite a bit. He's convincing and he gives a great presentation. I hate that you. I already read that one. Oh, sorry, grumblers. Friday, Epstein files released. Saturday, Nancy last seen. Does anyone remember interview September 2019? Savannah Guthrie interviewed 6 Stein victims. Savannah's husband worked for the Clintons. And they're going to take it out on the frumpy old lady? I don't know, man. What, like, is that a thing? I don't know. Did you see Kolvet on Fox News calling for putting pressure on Catholic universities to have a TPUSA chapter? Incoming. I did see it. I actually had it pulled up a few episodes ago and was going to play it and then never got to it. I saw it. I'm disappointed. I mean, Andrew allegedly is a fellow Catholic. You know, go stop it. Stop acting like this is life or death. Your stated mission statement is that you want to have a club for free market economics. And I'm supposed to be, maybe Catholics don't like free market economics. I don't think that's true. Actually, there's only 2 things they've ever said you can't be as a Catholic. You can't be a Nazi and you can't be a communist. Short of that, they'll let you be anything. I worked at a couple places that had employees that worked for many years with them. When changed management, several employees left, and then to keep an employee more than 2 years became hard. Yeah. Good call. Yeah, he's 6'5". How big is the daughter's bed? That's a good call. My daughter's bed would not fit Charlie Kirk. I don't know about this. I don't know if they're Rothschilds. I don't know. I mean, I think she might be by blood through a grandmother on one side or something. I don't know anything about J.D. Vance's lineage. I know he lived with some crazy woman with big glasses. Or at least the movie portrayed her that way. 2019 was a magic year, apparently. The Mosaic team, production of the Memorial, got hired by TPUSA that year after firing their previous one. Dun, dun, dun. What am I dunning? Away from it for a few decades, started reading the Bible, participating in Lent this year, and decided to give up RBV. Hey, let's not get carried away. The Lord just wants you to sacrifice, not suffer. Baron, thank you for your wit, intellect, common sense, and just being normal. There's no fakeness. And that's truly refreshing. Trivia night soon, calling ourselves the High IQ Outfit. Viva Cristo Rey. Well, that's a wonderful name for a trivia group because that's essentially what we are here. We're a gigantic trivia group. Nothing gets past this High IQ Outfit. No. Candace had brought up MA this week, as you did in early January regarding MA Airport, Massachusetts, code BED, which is also an active military Hanscom airspace. Are there any updates or should I be more patient? I don't have any more updates on the Bedford Airport. Maybe she does. wish I had enough money to adequately pay tribute to a good church. Should make you feel uncomfortable sometimes from yesterday. God is using you to spark interest in Christianity. Inspirational. Well, thank you. I just say stuff. I just say whatever comes to my mind. You know how it is. But thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. That's how you know it comes from the heart. I don't think this stuff up. I just roll through and respond. Found a one-page website. The ATK company, States Consulting, Communications and Public Relations, helps nonprofits and high-profile public figures. No contact info, but the wording the same as AK LinkedIn. Oh, it's got to be him. It's got to be him. I confess, I too used a 4-letter word with JG. Right? Pathetic. I don't want to trash the guy. Come on. I was trying to be nice for the bulk of it. I encourage anybody using that audio to look up the two-party state, though. Charlie slept in the other room because Erica snores. He didn't kiss her goodbye because she drools and her breast aches. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. Maybe. I'll tell you this. I can't say who said it. I can't even tell you who it's about, but as a former governor in a state where I used to live, maybe a current governor, and someone described her based on her scent. And I was like, oh, no. Stop it. Stop it. Raw pineapple can help with coughs. I'll forgive your logo if that works. Do I need to show you the picture again? You bringing that giant P logo around here? Do I need to show you again what happens? Do I need to show you one more time what happened? Did you notice when you brought up the write-up on Pierre, said he was married to Miss Bolivia? Maybe connection with EK. Is she from Bolivia? I don't think so. Baron. We now see how EK treats family, unalives them, fires them, and abandons them. Woo! Woo! That's your opinion. Erica's sister's 19 years older. Is her sister really her mom? And her mom is really her grandmother. Not unheard of that a child is born out of wedlock and the parents raise them as their own. No, it's not heard of. It's not unheard of at all. I think it's noble and honorable when people do that. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know why she would be estranged under those circumstances, though. Unless she felt like the kid was stolen, maybe. I don't know. Candace just posted 20 minutes ago on X. EKBBBS slated to film content together. Recently canceled last minute. Maybe ruffled by CO's Live. Well, let's pull it up and read it. We've got time. Let's see here. Ooh, got a good message in my X inbox. That's going to be a good one. What am I looking for? Candace? The real Candace O. All right, guys, here we go. Pulling it up in real time. Just so you don't think I'm pulling a fast one. This is, in fact, her profile. Joined June 2017. 7.5 million followers. Are you crazy? That's a lot. This is insane. I just received a tip that Erica Kirk, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Ben Shapiro were slated to film a piece of content together in Palm Beach. Daystar was involved in the development. For whatever reason, this filming canceled at the last minute very recently. The Daystar this is an AI overview for those listening and not watching. This is a follow-up tweet she put on here. The Daystar miniseries scandal involves serious allegations of child sexual abuse by an unidentified man known as Pete and subsequent internal conflict between the co-founder, Joni Lamb, and her son, Jonathan Lamb, who claimed his family was retaliating for reporting the abuse, leading to his firing and accusations of a cover-up. The dispute escalated quickly, publicly with social media posts, secret audio, and counterclaims of a smear campaign by Joni Lamb against Jonathan, resulting in several prominent ministries pulling their programming from the network. Well, that's wild. Golly. I'll be interested to hear more about that tip. Hope she goes live tomorrow. I will not. But I hope she does. Well, I might. No, I can't. I've got to be somewhere. When you're talking to your wife and kids, you constantly say, in my opinion, and I kid. I do say I kid. I don't say in my opinion. I don't think. That's more legal cover, in my opinion. Also, both great merch ideas. Love you so much. I'm sad on the days you're not live. I watch replays. Any new collabs coming up? I've invited Brandy and Billy on to discuss their latest reporting. Listen, guys, I cannot give them a big enough shout out. If you do not follow Brandy and Billy, you should. They're new. They don't have a ton of broadcasting experience, but what they lack in experience, they make up for in true intellectual pursuit of stories. They truly understand how to get a story, and they've broken several big stories they've broken. And so I am going to have them come on. Who else was I talking to? I was talking to somebody else recently. I was talking to Roger Stone, and then maybe I owe him a text. We got sidetracked. I do want to have him on to talk about the JFK book and some of the Charlie Kirk stuff. I was talking to somebody else. Who was it? Some other podcaster. Oh, no. I know who it was. I can't say. Because it's not settled in stone, and I don't want to announce it and then put pressure on that person. If they decide they don't want to do it, I don't want them to do it. That wouldn't be right of me to do that. I wouldn't want someone to do that to me if we hadn't settled something. Hey, Baron, are you on statins? No, I would never take statins a day in my life. I would rather die of a giant thrombosis than take statins. And I'm not telling anyone that's on them to get off of them. I'm not a medical doctor, but I would never take them. I would get a cough like that, and my pharmacist switched meds. No more cough. Congratulations on 200,000. Beans don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. I'm moving on up, baby. Yeah, again, Joe, I'm not telling you not to take your medicine, but I would never take statins. Never in a million years would I take them. Love the show, but hard disagree on the Trail of Tears that President Jackson was responsible for. He unalived a lot of natives. He's not perfect. Nobody is. Everybody, like George Washington had some horrific qualities. Thomas Jefferson had some horrific qualities. I mean, nobody's perfect. And sometimes your imperfections ruin lives and destroy a lot of people. But, I mean, look at the list of presidents. Who are you picking? Not a lot of great people on that list. I mean, my wife is wandering around. This is an Einstein emails thing, but my wife is wandering around wondering why no one is just New York Times A1 above the fold with art about the fact that George H.W. Bush was listed in the Einstein files potentially eating people. I mean, like the R word of a boy was an afterthought with the rest of the email. Oh, he also R'd him? Oh, graped him? No. Ate. Consumed. Masticated. How often do you hear the word masticate in conversation? I'm glad I could be that guy for you tonight. Yeah. My Catholic hubby has worn a crucifix necklace since he was 14. It never comes off unless he breaks it playing racquetball. What the hell kind of racquetball is he playing that he routinely breaks it? There's a lot of racquetball, lady. That's a lot of racquetball. Am I a friend of Bill W? Who's Bill W? Bill W. Let me see. Let me look in my contact list here for a Bill W because I don't know who you're talking about. Bill. Let me look at my bills. Let's see here. Bill A, Bill B, Bill D, Bill C, A, B, C, F, G. Where are we going? W? Nope. No Bill W's. Wish I could help you. If Erica's guilty, even if Erica's guilty, she has known President Trump forever. Ever since she was in his pageant. Think he will protect her? I mean, he's shown that in the past, but I don't know about, well, he wouldn't be able to protect her from a Utah state trial. I mean, the federal government you can't pardon somebody from a state charge. It doesn't work that way. All right, grumblers, what do you got over here? There are 2 cameras in each cell on each level of Einstein was within the jail. Another inmate did an interview about it. He said his roomie that was removed was also a cop. 14 camera angles. I believe you. I'm not going to challenge that. Her mom lives in AZ, where we are hunting for the same type of connection. EK started dating Charlie in 19. Lori in tech and Eggstein go into military tech, both in foreign profits with children, emailing. Yeah, I'll be happy to look at what you email. That sounds interesting. Even if, sorry, I already read that one. I'm under the 25-minute mark, so I'm going to have to start being a little more selective. A man who is on good terms with his wife would wake her up in the morning to kiss her goodbye if he felt he had threats against his life. I do not think they were on good terms. I agree. I don't believe they were on good terms. I have evidence to suggest that I cannot discuss. But I firmly believe they were having marital difficulties. Have you ever, and it's, again, in my opinion, relying on a source, but I do believe that's true. Have you ever wondered why Satan thinks he can win, even though he has read Revelation? There's a loophole in Jeremiah 31:37. His promises to Israel would be null void if science can do the measurements. What? You make me read Jeremiah? Last time I read Jeremiah was? It's been years. I got to find it. So let me say this about my theology and basically all of Christian theology except for the last 100 years or so. Any promise that inured to Israel that extended beyond the date of Christ's death inures to us as Christians. That's called fulfillment theology. It's not replacement, it's fulfillment. God selected a people. He brought them out. He nurtured them. He loved them. Those were your Hebrews. Those were your, they split into two different nations, Israel and Judah, but those were his people. And he made promises to them. And one of the promises was, I'm going to give you a Messiah. When that Messiah came, the Messiah opened up those promises to all of us through the free gift of grace. That has been Catholic theology, Protestant theology, Orthodox theology for 2,000 years up until the last 100 years or so. Sorry for that little aside, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to find verse 37. I'm in the chapter. Thus says the Lord. Well, that's how you know the Lord's talking, see. It says, thus says the Lord. I'm sorry I have to do this, guys, but I cannot read these little bitty words tonight. If the heavens on high could be measured or the foundations below the earth could be explored, then would I reject all the offspring of Israel because of all they have done, oracle of the Lord. Well, that's terrifying. Let's not get rejected here, sir. Bearing my fave hoodie, love combo with black shirt. Yeah, I thought you'd like that because of the black logo with the black shirt. I thought that was a nice touch. Thank you. Classy. Oh, thanks. Perhaps CK's final white shirt was a signal to all for surrender because he knew depth of money corruption, including EK, infiltration, and his death was nigh. His final word, freedom, saved by Jesus. Oh. I never put that much thought into what he wore that day, but my goodness, you might be onto something. Like you can take my body, but you can't take my soul. I have freedom in Christ. Interesting way of looking at it. TPUSA is putrefacting a charter in high schools in USA. I don't know what that word means. Is that something you got to be like an English major to know what that means? How long do you think before the mysterious deaths start to happen to people to know what really happened to Charlie? I raised this exact issue by text to someone yesterday. Especially within TPUSA, loose ends always seem to go away in family. Love the show. God bless you and the fam. Thank you for that generous donation, and you as well, Shannon. I raised this issue to somebody yesterday. He said, how will we know if we're ever right? And I said, there'll be mysterious deaths. Too many people. There'll be mysterious deaths. I don't care what Adidas calls it. That's periwinkle. Mix of blue and lilac. All right, fine. Periwinkle it is. Periwinkle it is. Do you think Pierre has a front for the Philadelphia running money for BB. Bad cop. Could. I don't know. Your two mods, Whitney Murphy and Mad World, need to be checked. They're tripping on power. No, I don't think they need to be checked. They have a very difficult task with some of the trolling going on right now. So just, guys, if you could just back up and give them some grace until we get it under control, we'd really be appreciative. Thank you. Hey, Baron, great job. Just wonder if the call was real or if he edited or used AI to make you sound bad. Oh, do you think I sounded bad? No, it's real. Because he looked like an idiot. No, it's really real. I guess. I mean, I haven't listened to it, but from what someone described to me, it was, I don't think he edited it at all. I was calm, normal, inviting, friendly. And then he demanded to come on, and I was like, no. And then he kept talking over me. Don't call me and talk over me. Like, if you call me, you yield to the person you called. You don't call and then bully someone. I'm not doing that. So, whatever. That hoodie looks amazing, sir. Well, thank you, Unique Box 777. Thank you. It's about time somebody recognized. Oh, I'm just kidding. Today's my birthday, and that is my birthstone. Love listening to your show. Keep going, Max. Happy birthday, Unique Box 777. Happy birthday. Where's Mikey meeting DeGroot about investing? He could be. Could be. You're telling me you don't listen to every show? Because I believe that was yesterday's opening. Consider using Lindbergh in the opening statement. Yes. And I even talked about the anti-Semitic cancel culture. I said he was the first, what we would call cancellation. Go back and listen. It's a good one. You'd like it a lot, apparently. USA has been the Truman Show since JFK. Yeah, I agree. Hoodie and Rants equals gold. Thank you for my spiritual reawakening and the laughs. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Driving from work in SB to home in Thousand Oaks. Yes, I've been to that church. Just became a member. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. You talking about Rob's church? Baron, found you from Ian, and I too am guilty of watching you more now. Well, lucky for you, Ian's been on a little bit of a hiatus. I believe Ian will be on Tucker again tomorrow. Now, I'm not suggesting you watch Tucker over me on Jimmy Dore, but I think I'm only going to be on Jimmy Dore for like 1 or 2 segments, like a short segment. So it shouldn't interfere too much. But yes, our boy Ian, the big time, twice on Tucker Carlson in a month. Are you kidding me? Ian's like he's not mortal. He's not mortal. Baron, sorry. Thank you so much for everything you do. Poor Joe is my new listen, Linda. Linda, listen, Linda. Linda, listen. Go Max, Baron, you're an inspiration. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very, very kind, very kind. Hey, Baron, love the show. Look like you could be my dad. I am not. I don't believe I'm your dad. Unless you're one of my kids commenting from the other room with a weird name. During pregnancy, I dreamed waiting until 39 weeks would go wrong. I pushed for induction at 37. My baby was in distress, cord detached. Doctor said waiting longer could have been fatal. God speaks to us in our dreams sometimes. I had a weird dream last night. I've not told a soul because I don't tell my dreams right away. I marinate on them for a few days. And then I might share them if I remember them. Great show, Baron. Don't look up Andrew Jackson, Jeff Einstein side by side going around the interwebs. Just kidding. You have to see it. I have seen it. But he doesn't look like the old man right there. Actually, I was sitting here on my computer when I saw it, and I turned around and went, Andy? Buddy? That you, dog? Listen, when I walk, very rarely get to listen while you're live. But just have to tell you, you make me belly laugh daily. You're a joyous man. Thank you for all your work. Jesus loves you. When you know Jesus loves you, life has a certain joy to it. When you know how it ends, life can be upbeat, even with all the evil going on around us. It's been conquered already. Baron, after your in-depth good church answer last night, I contacted a good Catholic friend that is taking me Sunday. Thank you for playing a part. Oh, well, thank you, psych nurse Renee. Don't do any psych nursing in the church, though. Let that go. You're just there to worship God. You know, one of the parishes I go to, I mentioned I go to 2 or 3 different parishes around here, just depending on the schedule and what kind of mood I'm in. one of the parishes I go to is a Latin mass, and it's always such a reminder that it's not about me. Because you would walk in, if you're not familiar with it, you go, what is going on up there? What are they doing? What are they saying? It doesn't matter. I'm not there to be entertained. There to worship the Almighty. There to lay my sins at the foot of the cross. You, Mod Whitney's the GOAT of moderator. I'd keep her around for like another week, tops. Duly noted. Baron, doesn't your and Candace publicly stating that you're withholding evidence such as photos Mitch took at Fort Huachuca or the video from the camera behind Charlie put your safety at risk? I don't think so. And I would challenge part of what you said, not all of it, but part of it. Just because I was looking at a photo doesn't mean doesn't mean a particular person took that photo. Other people take photos. Other cameras take photos. You mentioned the eyes EK does when she mentions the Lord. I now notice that she smiles and seems relieved when she's referring to the enemy. Can't unsee it. I have noticed that as well. It is terrifying. Danks. This is Danks. This is Danks, the guy I was just talking about. Finally found that Clock Tower LLC 999 grant by Mayor TP. Dissolved, later reopened by Pascal from Ohio, who worked for Kirk for a decade. Reopened some same CT LLC and now registered as a leading FARA Israel op. We've covered that, Danks. You should go back. We had a whole show on that. It was a good show, if I do say so myself. I'll be happy to send it to you. I'll figure out how to contact you. Speaking of Queen, when my wife passed 3 years ago, I asked her what she'd like friends to bring in lieu of flowers. She told me give love. And Under Pressure with David Bowie started playing. That's nice. You know, it's maybe too personal. I don't call my wife by her name. I call her Queen or Q. And have for 2 decades. The Q, the Queen. So when you said that, that made me think of her. Baron and On, do you realize how much we love you even when we disagree? No. Why would you disagree with me? Why do you want to be wrong? Listen to your Lindbergh opening statement from a hubby last night, trying to convert him to this high IQ outfit. Appreciate you and others shining your light in all this darkness. Gives me hope. God bless. God bless you. God bless your husband as well. The cat, do you think any of the security guys had normal response? DF got promoted. BH got fired. Did he take the fall for the team? Your kids are so blessed to have you as a role model. God bless you. Well, first, thank you for that kind compliment. I do my best. And like all humans, I have my faults. And I hope they don't hold them against me. Do I think? No, I don't think Brian Harpole will be the only fall guy in the end. War's Racket always has been possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It's the only one in international scope. Brigadier General Smedley D. Butler also talked about that on the program. Guys, you guys need to watch all 59 episodes. All 59 for $2,500. I'll snitch on anybody in here. Hey, just share it with me. We'll stitch together. I'm just kidding. Okay. So off subject, Nancy Guthrie's cell phone was owned by a company that had Israeli software. I wonder what a Google Trends search on her would show. Well, I will. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. Go Max, go Max, go Max, go Max. For that one listener that can't stand it. Sorry, mate, but it's our motto. That's correct. I'm going to put it on the mic. Oh, no, I'm not. It makes noise. Hold it right here, just so he can see it. Hey, Baron, love your show. You watch Rob Skiba. Followed him for years. Like to know your proof for a globe Earth. I don't know the shape, but open to persuasion. I've got an interesting proof for a globe Earth. Everything else is round. No, you know what my proof is? This was before we determined. We were calling it a globe Earth long before we measured it. So these two are not related. But if you take the circumference of the base of the Great Pyramid and you take the height of the Great Pyramid and you multiply it by a magical number. Can't remember the exact number. But the ratio is identical to the northern hemisphere of Earth. And here's why that matters. Because the Earth is not a perfect sphere. The Earth is 13 miles wider at the circumference than it is around the prime meridian. Longitudinally, in other words, because of the centrifugal force, it's spinning. And so it's wider in the middle than it's like a flat beach ball, right? But negligible. You wouldn't notice it, but for the fact that it can be measured. Why would they have built that in if the Earth is flat? Like that's not something they would have thought, well, one day these suckers will believe the Earth is round and they're going to come up with a measurement. So let's go ahead and build it into the Great Pyramid. No, nonsensical. It's not nice to call elderly frumpy. I don't consider myself frumpy. I'm 71 years old. I love your show. Also do CrossFit. Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. I love 71-year-old CrossFitters, Cheryl. Man, my workout today was so bad. Oh my gosh, it was awful. I literally laid on the ground writhing, groaning in pain for like 5 full minutes after it was over, like systemic pain. I told my wife as I was taking my shower right before I came on air, it took me that long to start feeling normal. I felt my CNS system was fried all day up until that moment. For the mods. Early on, CO said CK switched armor suppliers. Has anyone found out who made the replacement armor that they were so adamant he not wear? I have not. That video you shared on Next today was amazing. The demon voice was almost as good as yours. I love the shorts, borderline addictive. That cracked me up. If you don't know what she's talking about, go to my X feed. You'll see it. A woman doing an Erica Kirk impersonation at the very end, like the last 10 seconds, she does this demon voice. And I was like, it was wild. Wait, so she was a contractor for ATK who was a contractor for TPUSA. She was either a contractor for ATK or she was an employee of ATK. Either way. Would the ATK contractor girl be the one to get in trouble, or would it be Andrew? It would be TPUSA for mischaracterizing her as an employee. Congratulations on 200,000, Baron. Well, thank you, Rosario. Thank you for the kind donation as well. You're the only channel I can sit through for 3 hours. I appreciate everything I learned in the opening statements. Feels like a free college course unhindered by indoctrination. Also, Christ is King, go back. In fact, even better than college, Rosario, even better than college. I only talk about things that matter. Like every one of my openings is setting up a worldview so that you guys have a firm understanding for how I view the world. And I don't know if you've picked up on that yet. Thank you for your generous contribution. Here's a $5 towards glasses, you old goat. I already have them. I bought them at Costco. Came 3 pairs. But I see great distance. It's just up close. I'm sometimes a little old, I think is the word you're looking for. Love your show and appreciate learning about world history. Keep up the good work. I wanted to start to read the Bible for the first time. Do you recommend an order for me to follow? Go, Max. Well, if you want some help, there's a Bible in a Year podcast from a guy named Father Mike Schmidt. My beautiful bride, Mrs. Coleman, adores Father Mike Schmidt. He's amazing. And he reads a chapter or 2 or 3, whatever it is. It's like 15, 20 minutes a day. And over the course of the year, you get the whole thing with some commentary. Other than that, man, here's how I would read it. I would read the New Testament and then go back and read the Old Testament and then maybe the New Testament again. Just so you know where it's going. Because it's easy to get lost in the weeds, particularly in the first few books. The prophets are amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm employed for a contractor that has a contract with the company. We work like employees for the company we're contracted with. It's very common, mostly with call center contracts. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean they won't get their hand slapped one day. Thank you for the great openings. 53 here in South Dakota. are we getting your weather? By the way, Nancy Guthrie's 84 and not in good health. I don't know if you're getting our weather. Our weather seems to be brightening up tomorrow. I'm hoping to get outside a little bit tomorrow. Sent email 2 weeks ago with video clips and screenshot 99 invite message to Nick S at 7:38 from CK. NS is from Utah and was supposed to be live streaming at UVU on 9:10, but went to CK show instead, and message makes EK's recount of 99 tight. I'll have to go back and check that. I don't know that I saw that. Let me take a picture. I will find it, just common sensing it. And I know I have your email address because I've emailed you. I do have to kind of be selective here. Let's give a warm welcome to Hahatum. Been a long-time fan, quietly watching, wanted to make sure Muslim Palestinian Americans are welcome. We're so glad you're here, Hatam. Of course, all are welcome. I mean, we've had people write in and say they're Hindus and Buddhists, and I'm just doing a show. Everybody's welcome. I do too, Joshua. I do too. You related to Jimmy Chitwood by chance? The guy that hit the last second shot in Hoosiers? Do you think AES has the ability to create a vice small and light enough to fit behind an ear, unnoticed, but powerful enough to poke a hole? Your mason jar is fancy. No, I don't. There's nothing behind his ear. I have pictures of him from behind. Ooh, diagnosed with Lyme in your 30s. Spent every penny I had on treatments that only made me worse. Found injectable peptides that make me feel human again. You may want to research peptides for asthma. I took BPC 157. I shouldn't say that. I'll get kicked out of the open for the CrossFit season. But I took BPC 157 for my shoulder, and I noticed my asthma noticeably improved. But I don't want to take it forever. I don't know why. After last night's show, apprenticeship, we need to make you an honorary Arkansan, born and raised here in the 3 states that border Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Can I let you in on a secret? I've been to a lot of states. I don't think I've ever been to Arkansas. Oh, I have. Never mind. I have been to Arkansas. Scratch that. Beautiful country. I was up north in the mountainy area up there. Beautiful country. Got lost. I was driving to Springfield, Missouri, and I got lost. I know I'm late catching you on your older shows, and I'm watching the one with Lance Twig's family member, and she sounds and looks just like that CA lady that's been on SR 2 to 3 times. Well, I know who that lady is. She is a distant relative who is not really related to Lance Twiggs. In fact, Brandy and Billy reported yesterday that Lance Twiggs' family, they allowed me to report to you guys yesterday, actually, that Lance Twiggs' family said that lady had only met Lance Twiggs like 2 or 3 times in his life and had been more than a decade. So the idea that woman is somehow authoritative is nonsensical. I meant to say apparently not apprenticeship. We should call you an honorary Arkansan after last night's show. You're huge in Arkansas and the Balkans. Obviously huge in Arkansas, because when I fired up the live feed early, because I like to let you guys get in here and chat, and I like to join in the chat while I'm finishing my show prep. There were several people like, yeah, checking in from Arkansas. And I was like, why are we so big in Arkansas? What's going on over there? My spidey senses went off as Erica kept saying, my husband. Makes it all about her. As a business owner, I learned if you control hours and duties, they're employees, not contractors, as they control themselves. Yes, you are correct. Regarding statins, not medical advice, 9-10 of my dementia patients are longtime statin users. Statins kill your liver and destroy your brain and much more. I would never take them. I would never take them. People who live longest on earth have high cholesterol. People that get cancer and have dementia have low cholesterol. It's like no brainer. No brainer to me. AK could have collapsed into EK from pent-up anxiety and worry because he was on a plane and couldn't make moves to land. It involved nations. Well, that could be. I hadn't considered that. I do research for stress relief. People think I'm the biggest nerd. However, nerds know the truth. Nerd here. I think I just inadvertently discovered why I find research relaxing. Thank you for being my research idol. I love to research and I love to write. So this show is like the ultimate satisfaction. Well, not the ultimate satisfaction, but it's a very high satisfaction. Let's see here. The answers on the day she was hired, whether she filled out no, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. Again, it doesn't matter what paperwork you fill out. It doesn't matter who pays your check. It doesn't matter any of that. What matters is whether the IRS test classifies you, the factors classify you as an employee or a contractor. And they give a series of factors. That's what matters. Doesn't matter what they call you. Doesn't matter how they pay you. Doesn't matter what paperwork you fill out. Bill W. is Bill Wilson. Started 12-step recovery. I'm still laughing because you actually looked at your contacts. I have now heard a friend of Bill. I know that's alcoholic code language. I did not pick that up when you said it. No, I didn't go to any meetings or anything. I just quit drinking. I know some people get really sick, like could die depending on how much they drink. Obviously didn't drink that much. But it, I wouldn't want to quit again. Please do a members on Babylon Rising. I could do that. I could play some clips. I wouldn't want to play the whole thing because it's long. Baron J.D. Vance interviewing EW with Megyn K. He refers to New World Order for U.S. repeatedly. Ugh. Yeah. Sucks. Great show as usual. Tucker has a show called Christian Persecution. Everyone should go watch. Go Max. We'll never get old. Jesus loves you. Baron. I've been watching his tour through the Middle East. It's been fascinating. I almost thought Guthrie's mom was taken by Israelite as a threat for Trump's drop of the Einstein files to delay war with Iran. IMO, but IDK, since she is part of Project Mockingbird. I had a theory about Savannah Guthrie. Do you remember when was she interviewing Trump or was she moderating a debate? I can't remember which. But she's having this exchange with Trump, and she's sitting there, and I don't normally judge people by their appearance. But her, she's a news presenter, and I know she's a beautiful woman, and she normally has, her hair just perfect. She had this, greasy, stringy, nasty hair that night. And I couldn't help but think she did it on purpose to see if she could get Trump to attack her, because that would make her the story and make Trump look bad. He didn't take the bait. He didn't take the bait. You missed my point. I doubt CK took his necklace off to play racquetball or for any reason. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying now. What's your thought of Erica's hand tats? We've talked about that quite a bit. I don't know. I don't know what my thought is. There is video of her getting a hand tattoo. I believe she was with Cabot Phillips, but I could be wrong. She may have been with someone else. She was with a man. She's getting a hand tattoo. I've seen it. Maybe it's just a picture. But either way, it's where that tattoo is. So which leads me to believe she got some sort of white tattoo on her hand. I don't know why you would do that, but whatever. Candace read texts with Charlie regarding t-shirt he was wearing on a date with girl. If that was Erica, she would have used her name. Seems relevant. It was not Erica. And I think it's relevant. I'm confident it's relevant. Hi, Baron. I'm so glad I found your channel. I've been so depressed since Charlie's passing, and I'm so glad to have found someone else in addition to Candace. You are my ray of sunshine. Well, I'm trying. I'm so glad you found us. I'm so glad I found your comment. I've had to skip some here at the end that are either duplicative or things we've already answered. Am I wrong to think Pierre looks like the guy in the window of the Egyptian jet? No, I don't think it's him, but I don't think you're wrong either. The guy in the window of the Egyptian jet looks like a lot of people. It looks like an old creeper. Catholics can't be Freemasons. That is correct, sir. That is correct. Guys, I'll be on Jimmy Dore tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time. I hope you'll tune in. Let's show Jimmy a big warm welcome and boost the numbers out of that segment. I don't know if he'll clip it out and make clips. He makes a lot of clips and sends those around as well. I will not be back tomorrow evening. I've not ruled out doing a members show midday. It just depends on how tomorrow goes and what there is to talk about. I've not ruled out doing a members show, just a quick one, like an hour or less. So that you may or may not see that notification at some point if you're a member. The members, we have a lot of fun in there. If you're not a member, you should join us. We have a good time in there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click notifications. More importantly, share it with somebody. Share it with somebody. That's the word of mouth is the best way to spread the good news here of what fun stuff we're doing in the investigations and all that. Send them a show and say, hey, you should check this out. The guy's great. Send him a timestamp. Check him out at minute 1644. I think you'll like what his take on this particular issue. And yeah, other than that, guys, I will be back Super Bowl Sunday. I'm coming on Sunday night. I don't care what you guys say. I will be here. I might be here alone. I was on last Super Bowl Sunday last year. That show's marked private because I think my kids walked in. I've marked all my old shows private because I shared so much about my family that I can no longer do with more audience. But yeah, I was on last year on Super Bowl. I intend to be on this Sunday on the Super Bowl. Something could go wrong or whatever. But absent some massive change of plans or some emergency, I will be on. I will not be watching that stupid TPUSA halftime show. I won't be watching the stupid Bad Bunny halftime show. I'll be here talking to you guys. In the meantime, do not forget. Don't you ever forget. Jesus loves you.